coming on.
Awesome. See you soon, guys.
Appreciate you.
What is up, everyone?
What an unbelievable job there. As I was saying in the chat, I might have to look for a new line of work. Sate doing a great job in there. And what's crazy about it is I'm so thrilled with everything that usually if you throw to us in the afternoon show before 2 o'clock, I'm gonna do this. Until now it's 2 o'clock. Now we can start talking because we're on the clock again. No, but seriously, fantastic job. I was actually just talking with like Wayne was like, oh my goodness, she's crushing it. And I was like, man, she's a natural. And I was like, you have no idea how hard it is to talk about the live markets while you're analyzing trades, while you're in trades, winners, losers, and everything in between. And the truth be told, and here's the rub. I don't think we say this enough, but this is 100% true. We were on, when Sean and we started, we were on this before YouTube for 8 months. We were internal to other trading floors. Like it was an internal educational broadcast for other trading floors. And so there wasn't as much pressure. Like once you went to YouTube, it's a totally different story. But let's get into the brass. Okay, market. See, this is the problem. The market apparently also is like, yo, get Sataya back here, bro, because this just happened.
Downside.
No, straight up, we were trend up the whole way, and we just dumped it. So now the Nasdaq is headed to the downside. I was going to talk about Oracle, but I'm going to skip that in a quick little second and go over to Nvidia because Nvidia is losing it down into the 118. I probably should have got the long on Nvidia. Nvidia is stunk today. I'm going to talk about all of the shenanigans. Like it was a good long, and I tried one short. At least we got out of it. But 118 feels like that support level at 118 could come right back into play. But what a move just now with the Nasdaq pulling back into the downside. I just want to double check what's going on in ARM because ARM was a previously strong stock. No, it's actually not going down into VWAP. I'm only in Intel at VWAP, so that's not anything that's going to move that much. And even then, the market just came right back in. Probably should have been looking for some dip buys now. Oh, that's frustrating. The frustrating part of that was, we start up, and I'm looking for, okay, we'll have some calm moments. We'll just jibber jabber for a little bit here. Then the market makes that move, and we're right back up to the top. So your chance to get this, I went to ARM off VWAP looking for this. No chance to get it, unfortunately. But Obi, I think we're setting up. Yes. The way that we just had that liquidity grab to the downside, we might be setting up for some action.
19.5, man, I'm telling you.
For a Friday, we might get some movement here. But Sharif is ready back into his normal spot at this time of day. So let's go throw to the green screen and get the afternoon party started, although it kind of already is.
All right, yeah, guys, welcome to the afternoon rundown. You're already here, but this is the show where you decide what we talk about every day. If you join Sataya and I and Adair and I during the midday, you can get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers, but it's a subscriber-only chat. So make sure you're subbed, and then you can vote for your favorite ticker every day. We'll start off with the SPY, essentially the Dow, the SPY, the NQ, all around that 0.5%, the 2/3%. It really is a story about the Russell as that rotation trade continues. Up 2% today is the Russell. Good look for it. The SPY coming off highs as Neil was talking. As we got a bit of a downturn in the market to start the 2 o'clock hour, guys.
SPY. The SPY, what was that? Just
Spider?
Okay. No, you didn't just see that on the program monitor? Someone just ran through? No, so first of all, Ramin doesn't know when you do stuff like that. I hate spiders. Hate them.
I love spiders.
No, you don't.
I do. Okay. Tangent, because we are talking about the SPY, right? We're talking about the spider.
I got nothing against the SPY.
Trades on the Amex. But here's the thing. Out of all the critters that may reside in your humble abode, the spider is one of the only ones that takes care of everything else. It will not mess with you, right? It sits in the corner. It makes its web. It catches all the little creepy crawlies that you might not want sticking around. You don't want them to stick around on you or around you. They're sticking on the web.
There's not even a chance you're going to convince me of it. I'm trust me, I'll listen, but no, absolutely not. And the funny thing is, one of the reasons why, so human beings, we are hardwired not to like spiders. See, they have the 8 legs, so they're able to move in any direction indiscriminately. That's not funny, Ramin. Indiscriminately, they can move in any direction. I'm not going to look at the program monitor, so you can't get me. They can move in any direction at any time very quickly. That's not cute at all, and it's not funny, but that's fine.
Spider.
So we're hardwired not to like them because we don't like that unpredictability. It puts us on edge, right? I know, like, it's crabs too, same thing. They're kind of unpredictable. Now, the market can be unpredictable at times. I'm going to change the subject because I don't want to talk about no spiders up in here. Okay, so look, I feel like the reason why we're in a chop fest at the highs, because we're just not, are we going to punch through before we get the cut next week? We know the Fed's coming next week. Are we going to get the punch? No, and it seems like that's just the case. So we've gotten into this mode where we go a little bit. Like we had that big move 2 days ago. We go a little bit, and then we just can't punch through. And yesterday was better because there was that late move. Today has been really frustrating because you just haven't had that same late push. Like the morning highs are still the highs from today. And it all comes down to the SPY not busting up to give us this triple top test at 565. And we're backing off it again here today, unfortunately. So I feel like it's a Friday, you're in for possibly some range bound, playing off those highs. If it's strong, dip by it. If you got some weakness or it's underneath VWAP, I'm going to favor possibly selling. That's not funny, Obi. I'm not looking. You can't make me look. I got charts in front of me. I can look at Arm's chart just fine. I got Starbucks. I got an Intel chart. I have an Oracle chart.
I'm going through the rundown.
No, it's fine.
What do you mean? I'm just going through the rundown.
You do whatever you want to do, man.
Just going through the rundown. So here's a spider. Again, I could have taken many better trades today. Let's start off with that. And the spider was definitely one of them. We talked about what is on my in-play list, and one of the top names is the spider. And I said, spider, 560.50 was the month open, Neil. 560.50. And what do we have here? Right off of the open, we bounce off of 59 halves, opening range high at 560. We hold 560 halves with a little bit of consolidation. We've only been trading above that level with a high of 563. So a little bit of a continuation above the opening price as a spider climbs up the water spout. So, you know, we're getting back above some of these monthly open levels. And yeah, it is looking like a cute little trend here on the spider as it moves up. That's all I got to say for that one. And
that's fine. That's nice. I don't even know what's happening.
Don't be stomping on the spider.
Yo, kill that. Do it.
No.
You got to do what you got to do.
Such a cute little spider. His name's Lucas. Or, yeah, Lucas the spider. Don't you know?
That gremlin-looking thing doesn't want none of the smoke. I'll mess it up. All right, guys, Palantir next on the list. Alex Karp on CNBC talking about the boot camp that they've been putting on as of late. They're basically inviting companies over to use their AIP software, get trained on it, invite developers to basically use it. And they're obviously trying to increase their commercial presence. Most of the contracts they have so far still are with government. We've got to shout out the haired one, man. Shout out to the LG.
On our program monitor, and I have no problem.
I mean, that's a little scarier than the spider. I don't know. The hair that's going on there.
You know what that says, though?
What?
That says, you know, I don't give a you-know-what. That's what that man is saying. Because here's
that's fair.
The crazy thing about it, like, you know dudes like that. He walks into a room, he's the smartest man in almost every room he probably walks into.
Yeah. He's got the cat vibes going on, like zero, nonchalant.
And he's got shares and options too. So, you know, that's the other side of the equation, right? You walk in, you know, I don't need to have my hair like that. So the rest of us actually have to care about how we walk out in the morning, create a good impression, all that nonsense. Alex Karp doesn't care. What's weird about Palantir is there's a few things that we should have tried this morning. And ARM is the number one on the list of things that I should have been looking at. But there was a dip into 35 on Palantir. I tried to play it on a VWAP bounce. It was no good. But the trade was coming back into 35. It broke out 35. There were so many just right away consolidation breakouts. I didn't put this. I wish I could tell you I put this line in after the fact. It was already there this morning. That makes it even worse because that means I actually was paying attention to 35 and did nothing about it. That's the worst thing. But it's not that you missed the breakout. Like the fact that it actually dipped to 35.03 on the way back in and then tested 36. Now, how many times do you ever see something that clean? The one concern I'd have for Palantir is you're seeing some signs of profit taking now. Kind of weird gap there. Signs of profit taking when it makes those big moves up, because it could turn into a bit of a sell the news event when it does get added, like after it gets added to the S&P. And the week after, people might start taking some profit. And we saw what happened with SMCI. It's probably not going to be an SMCI, but I would not be surprised if it makes a high next week, and then weeks later, after being added, it's back at the 50-period moving average. Remember where this was when the announcement got made, was made official. I think you could easily get back to this. Happened to Uber. SMCI is the worst possible scenario for it, because all they did is crater after they got added to the S&P 500. I don't think that's happening to Palantir, but yeah, the 35 was a good one. I still think that could be a level. Like, we're only 1 point away from it, and we're trending down. So I'd rather wait for it to get back into here or clear back out above previous highs. Like, to me, it's either I want to be long in front of the previous high because it regains that and holds a bit of a trend, or at least forms some kind of a trend back in, or we wait for it to get to 35 even. So that's my thoughts on Palantir.
Yeah, no, again, post that S&P ad that we had, or the news that we had on Friday, this thing's only been bidding up. Higher lows at 34 hold was quite nice. 2 days in a row, Tuesday and Wednesday, we hold at 34, and finally we break through some of those weak highs today, coming into past 35s, 36.01 high. And yeah, this thing's just trending to the upside there. Opening drive was quite nice. It would seem this is an hourly chart. Go down to the 3-minute, just because that's what I like to look at charts with initially. And yeah, so look at that 3-minute opening drive, absolutely crazy. It's just straight up off of the open, 35 holds, breaks right through, goes straight to 35.70s, nasty little pullback all the way down to 35 and some change, 35.05s, and then bids right back up to 36s. So yeah, we are incrementally making higher highs and higher lows on the daily chart, on the hourly chart, but intraday, the action has definitely been very, very choppy and sideways, and maybe a little bit of trend every now and then. But bigger picture, higher highs and higher lows on this name. So it should be interesting. Again, S&P 500 ad. I think we can look for a bid more often than not until that addition actually goes through.
Oh, that's a Dell.
Good look for Micron on the day today. Up looks like to be 4.5, 4 2/3. Shares of semis are trading higher, it looks like, in sympathy with Nvidia. Jensen was at the White House yesterday speaking with administration officials about AI and possibly, the export controls that they've been putting on. But I got to tell you, Micron has been a bit of a problem as of late. Have a look at that chart. That is the high that we put in June, guys. And since that high, we've bled $70 billion in market cap.
Intel says, hold my beer. No, okay, well, I don't know what the market cap did Intel. I don't memorize things like, I have no idea the market cap that Intel has lost from 50 to 20. I'm only going to mention it because I'm in it, so let's go here. So I'm in it, short 62, stop here. There was a big move in the market right about 12:30. That high, I went short back into it on the wrong side. But now that it's downward trending, I want to short back in 19.5 and then a break into the low. But Micron, look, it's always been a cyclical name. And when you've got concerns over demand, it is what it is. The good thing for Micron is that it's seemingly made a bit of a bottom. Like that analyst double downgrade, or I guess it was, I don't remember who the analyst was, and frankly, it doesn't matter. But they get double downgraded at a point of support. So what ended up happening is you get this liquidity grab on a day like this where everyone's looking short. And then the best part about it is they had shorts that worked. Like there were shorts that worked, making you like it even better. It does the liquidity grab, but then shorting back in 87 worked, shorting at the highs, ended up working at the end of the day. Like that's exactly how you end up with a situation like this. It's like it wasn't even all that bad. It was enough that maybe some people were shorting this and then got trapped. It was yet another breakout right away at the open. It's cruising off highs. Everything in my gut is telling me the top end of this range on the daily should be a fade at 91. But if that's going to be the case, it needs to really set up. It's up 4% into a market that's not, and it's gone up there a few times. I think the only way you're playing this is right off the high, or show me the real trend break, which to me hasn't happened yet. Like it tried to do it a couple of times and went right back into the top. Try to do it here. Now it's setting up to really put in a lower high that I could play a short into VWAP for Micron. But I'm in Intel because it's a little bit weaker right now. And the market doesn't seem to want to go and break any highs. If that's the case, then we'll play it looking for some pullbacks. I don't know if Micron's going to give you that perfect setup, but I certainly trapped some shorts that I think got rinsed on that double downgrade yesterday.
Yeah, just to kind of mention in the chat, Kyle Burdett was saying no one seems to be nervous that the SPY just sold through like 3 hours of chop in a single 1 minute candle. They just keep buying dips. Amazing. Yeah, that's what I noticed as well. This week, a lot of aggressive dips and everything just keeps getting bought up. You can see the spider had this crazy, again, you can see it here on the futures, a wild little 1 minute candle. You can see wipes all the way down into some of these prior levels and then rips right back up. So yeah, every single aggressive dip has been being bought up. Kind of a pretty choppy kind of aggressive price action there. Buy the dip is definitely I guess the theme for this week at least. But yeah, Micron, similar story here. You can see it did have a strong dip into VWAP, and it seems like VWAP is the place to be buying on this one, as whenever it kind of comes even in the vicinity of it, it just keeps on getting bid up today off the open, aggressive bid. Again, yesterday we had some strong relative volume in the pre-market, and then coming off of the open as well, but pretty much sideways action there. On Micron, we finally kind of get up to some of these levels here. 91.47 are the highs there, but Neil, if you take a look at a higher time frame on this one, we're still within kind of a range that we've been in from the beginning of the month. We're attempting to push. We're actually at the high of the month right now, it would seem. Well, actually, no. A high of the month would be 94.95. Yeah, we did have that aggressive selling on Tuesday, September the 3rd. But yeah, we're still within the range of the month high and the month low. Month low was made yesterday, Neil, 84. So it could be interesting. We might travel back to that 95. But yeah, a little bit of a no man's land here. Morning drive off of the open seems like that was interesting. VWAP seems like there are potentially some buyers there. Again, just looking at a shorter time frame, the aggressive drop down into VWAP gets aggressively bought back up, and every other consecutive dip a little bit higher with bids kind of stepping in and taking the stock back towards these day highs here. Let's see if we can get through that 91.5 by the end of the day on Micron today.
UTime, WTO is the ticker next over here, trading lower after the company announced $5 million registered direct offering of about 7 2/3 million shares. It was a lot lower at the low, still down about 11.5%. Should tell you the float on this one's about 17.5 million with a short float, guys, of around 2%.
That's not a lot. Hold on a second. Do we have locates on this? I'm just very quickly going to see if we can. No, we don't. So this is a pay for short stock. And look, we'll talk about anything and everything, but I'm not going to pretend that I have looked at this stock heavily or anything like that. However, I don't know. I feel like the story speaks for itself when we have symbols like this. So, you know, I feel like I'm always repeating myself with names like this. There are certain situations where it's like it's a short till it's not. And this, reverse, fail $1, like that's a perfect example of a short till it's not. And see what I mean about when stock gives you the dump and then shows you the area that you want to short into. And then when that doesn't break, eventually it just falls down. Like this is what Mullen's chart looked like after every single one of the million reverse splits that they have. So just a similar story here. It's not doing a lot of volume, but then again, it's not a huge float name. So you're not getting hundreds of millions of shares traded, which is usually what you want to be able to see. But yeah, this lower high in here, I think you observe that for a couple of days and say if it holds this, it's a short till it's not in WTO. Let's quickly go to the desk.
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade the Pool. Becoming a funded trader means trading with the firm's money instead of your own. At Trade the Pool, you first complete an evaluation by hitting profit targets while managing risk. Once you pass, you get access to up to $260,000 in buying power, and you get to keep up to 80% of your profits while the firm covers the risk. It's the perfect way to trade big without risking your own funds. Ready to become a funded trader? Join Trade the Pool. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description.
Thank you, Adara. Yeah, no, that WTO, again, not necessarily on my radar. Post-split, they just split on Wednesday, and let's see how much of a split they had. They had a 1 to 25 split, trading at 68 cents now. So yeah, oh boy. This ticker a little bit seems like a little bit down in the dumps. Let's go to a higher time frame here, and I think I know what I'm poised to see. Yes, so I guess we were trading at 62, aggressive dump down. I don't know what happened there on August 28th very recently, and then we get the split coming in as well with the 1 to 25. That's absolutely crazy, but a little bit of a downtrend trend since that flush down, even through the split on this ticker, trading now below $1. So yeah, I don't really kind of I guess like to trade sub dollar tickers as much. Haven't really touched them in years, to be honest.
Like that.
But yeah, again, trending to the downside is the biggest thing that kind of stands out when looking at this ticker here. Kind of that trend coming in off of that strong quadunk after August 28th, August 29th. That flush that potentially came in, and even through the split, the price action continues to fade. So this one, oh boy, seems like this is going. I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to zero, but the trend is definitely poised to go a little bit lower past that dollar mark there. Let's see what this one brings in. But again, 17 million, 18 million float on a sub-dollar ticker. You don't need too much money to push this thing around.
Well said, Ob. Nvidia is, I think, the only microchip name on my watch list anyway that's actually negative. They're all in green, but that's after the big run-up that it's had as of late. Yes, Jensen was at the White House yesterday speaking to Biden administration officials with respect to the AI business, and as well, obviously, you have to assume the export restrictions. Separately, Oracle CEO coming out yesterday making statements about their intentions to buy these Nvidia GPUs. We've already heard about the hyperscalers, guys, taking out most of Nvidia's supply.
Careful, don't step on yourself there, Sharif. You got to watch out. Like, you got to be nice to the mini-me. When you got a mini-me, you're supposed to be like kind, like Dr. Evil. You don't see, like, Dr. Evil was like a punk to everybody except mini-me. So that's what you got to be like. You respect, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take care of those that are lesser than yourself. That's what it's all about. NVIDIA, the lesson of the day today was just going over and over again why NVIDIA wasn't the one to trade today. No question about it. It was not the one. You know, and the difference was big move 2 days ago, dip and rip off the previous levels, and then today NVIDIA was an inside day. So I chopped myself up and around, maybe had a couple of wins and losses, but look at that. Like, it's all on a 15-minute, it's all a mess. If you look at something, and we talked about well, I'll get to ARM in a second, but you look at SMCI, that was just break out the top, pull back in, hold prior support, make a fresh high. Like, you're out in the ether. That's what you want to look at. Maybe this afternoon, it doesn't seem like it's doing much of anything. And then it just basically took one trade in ARM. Now, because I didn't get the breakout, the best you're going to do is a dip back in to 146 half here, and then trying to retest some of those highs. But again, that's all it took. This was a stock that the same move as NVIDIA. Thought I got rid of these. The same move as NVIDIA the last 2 days, but the difference this morning was it was breaking out the highs. You know, you got to, instead of being in the middle and just kind of hanging out in the middle all day long, chopping people up, this had already cleared it, dipped back into previous highs, which is continuation. You can see it on the daily chart as well. It goes right to the 150, which we said was resistance point. So you take your profit out in front. That's not a complicated trade at all. So I slapped the fail on myself already, so I'm not going to do it again. And just to be completely transparent with everybody, we were literally talking about the ARM break 10 minutes before we came on air at 8:30.
Yes.
And I still proceeded to trade NVIDIA 7 or 8 times instead of just ARM. It doesn't even make any sense. You knew it was there, and obviously, you know, it's an easy thing to say in hindsight, but it's important to do it, because if you don't, like, harp on yourself for missing things that are relatively obvious as part of a trading plan, like, it's like, why am I writing on my iPad? Why are we talking about it before we go live, and then only to go back and trade NVIDIA because NVIDIA is NVIDIA? And it's nothing bad on NVIDIA, and just for a higher time level, I didn't go to the daily chart for NVIDIA, so before I throw it over, on the daily on NVIDIA, you did not hold you did not hold the 50 period and break it out. You held the 50 period and stayed inside of the same range that it's been holding. So yeah, it's good that it held on to the 50 period moving average, but it didn't take the top off. And now I kind of feel like if we break the downside, which it looks like we're doing now, this almost should be a short. I'm picking Intel, and I'm going to go back over and see if Micron is setting up that entry that I wanted. Because it might be.
Yeah. No, I'm watching Nvidia as well. Been watching it all day for potential setup, but it's just been ranging sideways, kind of in this VWAP orbit. Yeah, aggressive dips again, getting bought right back up. Maybe interacting with some of these prior days levels here. You can see that pre-market low initially comes in as well. Well, today's pre-market low right here, a little lick grab of that right off of the open. And then yesterday's after hours low, that's the second lick grab. And then the third lick grab, the aggressive lick grab that Nvidia has is of this low. So from middle of the day where you kind of failure to follow through below that 118. So we've been getting aggressively sold and then bids right back up into the top of the range for the day. Again, high a day 119.95. So we couldn't necessarily get through that 120 either. And we've been kind of chip chopping around VWAP here. You can see the trend is a little bit more distinct here on the Nasdaq as we have been making higher highs and higher lows, even with aggressive selling coming in over the past.
DJT, hold on a second. DJT,
boy, what's going on?
Trump says he's not selling. Okay, we'll see if he actually does or not. But it's at $18. Look at the spike that just happened on DJT. That's all it takes. And all of a sudden, everyone's worried about that lockup on the 20th because it's going to be the 20th, right? All it had to do was hold $13. And looks like that's almost a lock. It's halting to the upside now. Oh my goodness, is it going to actually halt? Are we going to get a halt here? Yes. And
oh boy.
No fill.
Halted.
Halted to the upside now at $18.09. It instantly had a tap of 18.5, 18.5. Now it's coming down to like 18.24. So DJT flying to the upside, now halted upside. Wow, that is intense. All it took was I'm not selling, and all of a sudden you're flying to the upside there. So just to quickly, I know I probably said that really fast. Maybe he's what did you just say, Vermeen? He's going to say he's not selling, he's donating, right? He sells and then donates it to the campaign? I don't know, but this all it takes. This is a squeeze name. And for a squeeze name, you need to be taking out the top for short sellers to panic. So yeah, it's going. If it gets past 20, this is different. It's a little different if there's buyers above 20 than if there's buyers at 18. So what's weird about it is on the early move, I actually paid for locates on this, which is great because that means I paid next to nothing for them here at Real Trading because I guarantee they've gone, wait a minute, let me just, I'm like 99% sure that I did. I did. Just double checking with an order. It's halted, it's not going to fill. But yeah, so I guarantee you the price of locates just went up because it's all supply and demand. So even for us, when we get cheap locates, if you do it after the fact, when it's already halted and gone to the upside 12%, 20% or whatever, usually by that time, the demand is higher because people see opportunity. So $20 is a big level. Oh, great look, Nick Sanders in the chat. Funware. Funware is the sympathy play for DJT, although I'll never forget the day that DWAC went ham and everyone got screwed that traded Funware instead. It is what it is. Thankfully, I was out before that stupid halt nonsense. But Funware making a bit of a sympathy move. You know what I don't like? 400,000 volume on a $3.50 stock. Yeah. 400,000 shares of volume. That is insane. So that means it's tradable because it's moving, but there's no liquidity here. I don't want to see a spread. And I want to see people trading thousands of shares on a stock if it's going to be in play. But it's a good look to watch it. But I think DJT is going to be the one. I'm going to throw that up. Make sure I have that on a level 2 at all times, because when that opens up, that could be the one that starts to go a little. I mean, obviously, it's not start to go. It continues to go, I should say.
Yeah, let's see. It's halted up right now. Last print I have is at 226.32. Now, again, full disclosure, I kind of spent a little too much risk in the morning and midday session. I did kind of blow out my risk for the day by about 35 pennies. I am shut down, which is, shutdown is a shutdown. I need to do a little bit better on that. I was aggressively fighting Oracle. You guys saw how I was fighting Oracle. That is not the ideal way to trade, again, with any sort of risk. So hopefully, again, I'm learning. Hopefully you guys are learning as well what to do, what not to do, especially what not to do. Because I've been going through a lot of that. I've been going through a lot of what not to do over the past couple of weeks there. A bit of a red streak for me. But, you know, we come back stronger next week. I am trading in the sim as of right now, just trying to take some reps. But yeah, I got to do a little bit better with that trading TMS right now. I did get involved in Oracle, but we can talk about how I shut down. Again, we talk. If you guys were here for the morning session, I was a little aggressive in buying the dips here. Well, the dip kept on dipping. You know the saying, when you buy the dip, but the dip keeps on dipping. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. There was no real relief that happened. This ticker continues to go to the downside here. This aggressive sell off, Neil, that happened at 11:33. Oh boy, we were trading. I remember this as well. I actually stopped out. I was still alive before this. Look at those guns. God damn. What's going on, Sharif? All right. There he goes. Oh, follow him. Oh, we got him. We got the scopes. There he goes. I thought we were going for money talks. But anyways, all right. Going back to the trading that I had this morning, if you want to call it trading. I'm, again, absolutely disgusted at myself once again, getting too aggressive and not really stopping out where I should be, right? I got into multiple entries and I gave it 3 points worth of risk because I'm like, this is aggressively selling off. I'm like, oh, rubber band, I need to be able to risk like 2 or 3 points to get at least 2 to 3 or even more for at least a 1-to-1, and I'm just aggressively bidding in, not managing my risk well. But this aggressive sell that came in, if you guys go to the 1 second chart here, this thing was trading at 63.40s, insta dump to 161.70s. That was aggressive. I got out right before that one, and then I started going short over here. I tried a little bit of a long one on the long, but started going short here. Stopped out for that final little push, and then we're continuing that sell off to the downside. Oh boy, I got to do a little bit better than that. But that's what I get for not following my plans, not following my top ideas on the day. I even said Spider was one of my top ideas. I was looking for Starbucks as well, Adobe and Kroger. Adobe bounced off that 525. We bounced off of 526s. So a $500 ticker. There's
170,000 on the offer of $19 and like 22 cents. Let's go over to Adara, but DJT's flying on the reopen.
So we do have the reopen. Interestingly enough, the reopening basically timing exactly with when Donald Trump stepped off the stage. Looks like the stream is over. They didn't officially end it, just seeing some paparazzo and security guards walking around here, but the stock's still pushing higher here. DJT unhalted. Donald Trump's speech at Los Angeles lasted about an hour. Now over, guys.
Yeah, and so there was somebody sitting there for 170,000 shares on the offer at $19.22. They filled them one shot, or if they filled the order essentially first time they saw it, it's still flying. I really don't want to. Remember I said the $20 level is pretty big? I don't want to chase this thing right in front of 20 bucks. They feel like that's a bit of a trap, and somebody was pretty confident to sell there in one chunk. You're not seeing any kind of liquidity like that, so I need to see what the $20 level happens. What happens at the $20 level before I act on this. You had to take that reopen. I was trying to get filled on the halt long so that I could play it into that level. I don't like chasing without some kind of an entry point that gives me room to the next level. This is too tight to $20. JKL, those shorts short the market.
Nice.
I just thought I'd throw that one up there. We appreciate all the super chats in there. Obviously, Sharif doesn't skip any workout day. Leg day, whatever. The guy ain't skipping nothing, man. We could halt again on a 20 breakout. It's going for, if it breaks 20 and goes in another halt, this is now just gone Captain Insano mode on DJT. That is nonsense. There's a fail at 20. Nope. You see that? They just dumped. Wow, they just dumped it through 20 and then are going into another halt. That's insane. So they dumped it through 20. Now it's about to halt up again. DJT is absolutely flying.
Still printing.
Halted.
There we go. I kind of mistimed that.
You know what? I'm glad I didn't get that.
I was 3 seconds too. I'm like, this is halting. Oh, halt.
Well, instead of counting 15, you could just have a clock up.
Yeah, I was just like boom, boom, boom.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Counter.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, pretty wild there. That's the thing, man. Some of these tickers, when they get like a presidential seal, we've seen what can happen. We've seen what Trump can do with the stonks.
Oh, we've seen it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is,
if Buddy says,
make any money.
I'm not selling,
I'm not
what's the short
leaving.
float on DJT? That's
It's not a big short float. At least
check right now.
like we don't have. So first of all, our TraderTv doesn't have any data on it. But remember, it's the availability of shares that matter.
20% short, Neil.
Yeah, but the actual volume. Where do you have that source? Is that Finviz?
That's a Finviz.
Okay, good. I don't.
19.26.
But the bigger, he owns like 60% of it.
Yeah, of course.
The
I
real,
know it's cornered.
The real key is that it's cornered.
Yeah. I understand
It's that it's cornered. There's the availability of shares is limited.
Plus 19.5% short.
This could get now.
So,
you can see 26 today.
Could get a little messy here. Let's take a look at some levels on this.
$26.
$26 saying, Neil, is the next level. Let's
the 25
time frame.
25 half.
Go straight to
25
the 3 hour right here. Boom. So yeah, we're rocking up into this prior high there from earlier September. If we continue, I guess at 21, and then next high at 25 halves. Yes. Let me get this VWAP out of there. Again, depends on where we open up. We opened up a little bit higher. We closed at 1809s. We opened above. I think we opened at 1853 here, if I'm not mistaken. What was the open of the opening candle right here? The open was 1861 with a low of 1853. So it doesn't even dip down that aggressively. But yeah, oh boy, are we getting a little bit of a squeeze action happening here? Again, presidential seal on a heavily shorted ticker. Yeah. I think that's definitely a recipe for disaster for shorts there. Let's see when this one opens up. Last print at 1434.13. So we still got a few more minutes there. What's going on, Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by Moomoo. Moomoo is shaking up the investing game with its cash sweep program, offering an incredible 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, far surpassing typical stock returns. Your cash earns interest 24/7, and you can access it anytime to reinvest when the market turns. Plus, sign up now to snag 15 free stocks and bonuses up to $2,300 in Canada. Don't let your money sit idle. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
I was sort of just talking about what should have done there on the real, because I prefer getting in on something like this early. Like if I don't have, I'm talking about DJT by the way still. And for everyone that's like, it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't have to. Like, trust me, when it was the meme stocks, it's the meme stock. When it's the marijuana stocks, it doesn't matter. Just worry about the price action, because ultimately, like, the stock could long-term head to zero. That doesn't matter today. The only thing that matters today is what it's going to do today and for the next hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes. But DJT, what I should have done instead of only looking for the halt entry is just go limit order open. Not just, if you do a market on open order, it looks fine if it opens at 18.6, you give it to that previous high, and then it screams into 20. But what if it had opened here, and then your risk is to down there? So you can use a limit on open order to say, I'm only willing to do it somewhere in here. That way, you still get filled at 18.6, but if it opens at 19.25, you don't. I was trying to get in, actually, on the actual halt, but you can see that's not going to happen. So it's now giving you a theoretical auction price of pretty much where it closed, at 2013. So it's indicating an open exactly where it closed. Like the last time, it was instantly looking higher. The other thing you can do is the imbalance locator is still going to give you some information. I'm going to sort it by time. So yeah, there it is. So if you look at it on the imbalance locator, it's not going to be a lot of shares, relatively speaking, that goes right in to the auction, but it should give you an indication. Like if it's a buy imbalance, then it's probably going to open higher. If it's a sell imbalance, it might open lower. It's a good proxy, but it's not going to be a lot of size that goes into the auction relative to liquidity. Completely ignore ZVZZT. That ZVZZT is a test stock. Yeah. We used to mess with trainees by punching them into the test stock in the middle of the day sometimes. But yeah, they just use it as the test quotes out on the Nasdaq. But DJT making some power moves to the upside. As that one tries to calm down. I'm going to go over, like Oracle, I can't even believe Oracle's at the low of the day here, Obi. I'm frustrated with myself over Oracle as well, because it's this simple. There was one time when Oracle was a good long.
Yeah, it's open.
Oh, now DJT's open. Wow, still over that 20 level.
Another leg.
Another leg higher. All right, what's the whole price? 20 even. If it doesn't hold 20, this is going to be like kind of like I think it could be a downfall. 20 was the big level on the daily. So hold it, get back above. The buyers are not coming in. Get back above 20. If it doesn't get back in above 20, this is probably a short. Where I'm sitting here looking for the punch long, and this is an opportunity to get the short. It looks like get back above 20 and hold. Get above the quarters.
At 20 right now. I mean, the pullback got bought right
No
back
fill,
up.
no. Oh, come on, no fill.
Pullback got right back up. So yeah, I mean, we just looked a little left there. We're at a place of prior,
come
prior
on.
resistance. I think we can expect a little bit of a chop there. Again, trading in the demo right now because again I
Did you get long?
in the morning. I got long on into the close of that 18, so I had 18s there. But again, a little bit of a fugazi fills when it comes to the demo because I shouldn't have been able to punch into the close, and I think I got 18 10s. That's what the system gave me, and the closing high was 1809. So a little lucky there, but again, just trying to go with the motions and make good decisions there. So I did punch into that 18 close aggressively there and pieced out of most of it there. Only about a little bit, I guess. What is that? 40% of the position left just now. Let's see if this 20 holds. Right, 20, a little bit of a prior level there, but halted up twice. Hasn't halted down once just yet. I know people in the chat are talking about, oh, get ready to short DJT. Oh boy, trust me, I like that idea. But the front side of the move, ooh, I already did that this morning. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to go against the front side of the move unless and until it halts down and kind of doesn't sustain a pop. I'm not necessarily going to get involved with the short idea just yet. The news is fresh.
It is
see
fresh.
If we sustain the opening or the closing price of that initial halt up. That's the question I'm asking right there. So a little bit of an aggressive pullback here. Let's see if we get a halt down. If we come back down below that 19 right now, 19 halves, printing right now only about a 2 to 10 penny spread at times here. So nothing too crazy on DJT. A little bit of spiciness. Okay, so you know what? I don't really like that too much. I will get out of a little bit more there as we attempt to, or we're going into the break of that prior bar low here on DJT's little wick candle. High of day right now is 2086 on DJT. So pulling that back up, look at that. We're kind of struggling to get past some of these highs from, what is this, August 29th. So the end of August, we got a little bit of a pop there, and we're using that level, I guess, as a little bit of a resistance as of right now on DJT. So let's see what we have in store with this. Again, 19.5% short float, Neil, and you are 100% right about the float being a little bit cornered. And if he is not selling, best believe that that free float is going to stay around what it is.
Tom Huff.
19.5. Oh my.
Tom Huff just said, don't forget DWAC. No, it's yeah. So this was DWAC. And now DJT. So my frustration was, you saw me like ready to go. It was liquidity grabbing underneath 20, and when it came back up, like I was trying to punch long quarters, it went through. I didn't get filled, and then went all the way to 80. I'm like nothing. I left the order in there. I'm like, well, I'm just mad now. And then of course it fills me on the way back down. So I took the L on this. Once it got back under 20, I had to stop order before I even punched into position. That was automatic. It does feel like that 20. I wanted it breaking out and going into like a 21 break, but now that it's lost 20, I feel like it's at least a short back into potential VWAP in there. So unfortunately, there goes DJT. The previous halt price should be a good one because that's 18 and it's also going to be VWAP. Sometimes that ends up lining up, and it looks like it's lining up as we speak. I just saw C Battle saying short CRM, forget DJT shorts. Why are we picking on CRM, Mr. Battles?
I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, because CRM doesn't look like it's. I didn't even think that was in play. On a 15-minute, I can see what you're getting at. Because on a 15-minute, you kind of have like, there's your kind of head and shoulders, possibly losing this support at 254.65. So I see what you're getting at. I feel as if DJT might be a bigger opportunity in terms of any kind of a trade this afternoon. Like, if it can reclaim the high, great. I think it's got room to 26. But if it never breaks back above 25, it can easily get to 20 even. It can get back into 18, I would think. So, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that one. AMD just made a bit of a top AMD wants this 153 today. So bad. AMD, there's a double top at 153. It just keeps on trying and trying without actually breaking to the upside. But yeah, if this can get through 153, AMD looks like a bit of a break. It's just hard not to look at DJT right now. I'm going to go back over here. I'd like to see it make another run at the top. If it comes in and fails 20 again, it's probably an easy. Oh, never mind.
That's a hard flush.
That's the hard flush. Now you got to wait for 18.
See if it gets bought up.
Yeah, there it is. It failed that $20 level. The trade was a halt trade. Now it's going to probably pull back into that $18 level. Yeah, it might just be a nothing burger till it retests the 18. Maybe it catches a bid somewhere else. But yeah, DJT, what goes up must come down. But I'm E-Clown.
Yeah, a bit of a pullback here. I'm watching it. Holding trend, I guess, if you're looking for the trend to hold, if you're using some sort of like moving average there, we're still trading above that. We're still trading above the opening price of the first halt. Well, post the initial halt, we're also trading above the close of the initial halt there at 18. So I'm going to use that as a bit of a reference point as we pull back into that 18. And 1853 was that first candle low. We're only about 20 pennies away from that, trading at 1870s. As of right now, I got the moving average here on an 8 EMA 3-minute at 1860s. Let's see, we're right in and around that area. If the bid kind of catches on right here, we might be poised for a little bit of a move, maybe some continuation as well. But interesting stuff. Intraday catalyst. Oh boy, some of the best catalysts in the market, in my opinion. And DJT coming through with the presidential seal from none other than DJT himself. So market, again, we talk about this 19.5 being a little bit of an interesting area, and you can see how we've been we use it as resistance, hard flush, we use it as support. We use it as a support, and we aggressively bid right back up. And then look at that aggressive sell-off. Where do we stall? Where do we stop? Right above that 19.5. So that 19.5 continues to stay a little bit interesting here. Another thing that I'm watching, Neil, is this Oracle. Take a look at this flat bottom that's happening right here. So consolidation, very, very tight. This has been happening for over, over 15 minutes here, with a bit of a flat bottom happening right here at that 161.75, right above this wick low that happened down into 161.71 right here. So interesting stuff nonetheless. 161.71 is also the same low of this consolidation on that little wick right here. So a little bit of a confluence happening there with the day low. I guess the day low here I have is 72. So just about a penny away from the day low on that aggressive sell-off that happened. And then again, bid right back up, a little bit of a correction, rubber band man action happening off of that 161.70s on Oracle. Let's see if we break down that day low for a continuation to the downside. This thing is selling off on that guidance into prior day's levels. These are prior day's highs, end of day consolidation highs as well. Let's see if we can break back below yesterday's close as we are pulling right into the day low at 161.71 here on Oracle. Let us know in the chat. Are you guys trading Oracle today?
You've seen Apple?
Did you trade Oracle today? I have not seen Apple, Neil.
Apple, so I couldn't find anything on Apple, and I asked Adair if she could see anything. And all it is, some people mentioning, I was getting a lot of mentions on Twitter. On a 3-minute, it's umpteen consecutive bars. It's just easier to say that since for the last 40 minutes, Apple has been trending down while the market is gently rolling over. And you're getting the first bump here. If it doesn't, a lot of times you have a move down like this, like you'll get a little rubber band action pulling back. This is not happening. It does a bit of a volume candle and tries to go green and is looking very weak here on Apple. So this doesn't seem like it's all that healthy. It also just went red on the day for Apple. The other thing is, if you look at the daily chart on Apple, notice a pattern here. No matter what it does in the day, it's been closing underneath the 50-period moving average. But the only time it actually closed, like there was one close at the 50-period, but then all the rest, right? Opens, close under, open, close under, open, close under. Even when it's an update, close underneath despite catching it. Yesterday, broke the 50-period, closed underneath. Today, it busted the 50-period again, and it's struggling, and the 50-period's just underneath 223. So I feel like there's some trouble there for Apple there, specifically at that 50-period underneath $23. If I see it bounce into VWAP at 223 and fail, I'm going to look for some fades there. I just heard Mattel getting some volume. It's heard it in my ears. So I'm just going to quickly go over to it. Anything happening on Mattel? Not really. Just just the day of the high break. Yeah. Sometimes you get a bit of a volume spike in a day of the high break, and it'll get an alert, and it's not really doing anything. So nothing going on there. I feel like it's DJT. Apple's moving around a bit. Still in Intel as it's starting to work down underneath VWAP, but I've been sitting bidding in the 50s this entire way, and then trying to get some here in the 70s. I should be offering down in the mid 60s again. See if I can pick some up that way. But look, Intel's not really moving all that much. DJT is about to make the press, I think, into $18. I should have played the short. I wanted the long break to get 21s. 20 was the right level. It was just the wrong direction. So I went and took my shot. But if you do the same trade in reverse, like have the stop over, wait for it to break under, you're just sitting there waiting for your 18s and paying off. John Vandewey, ARM seems to be sleeping. I think you're right. There's not a heck of a lot of movement. We are trending down a little bit. That's why I'm sitting in Intel at this moment and looking for a pop fade in Apple at VWAP. Looks like a good setup. Very weak move here in Apple. That continues to go down on Apple. Like Apple doesn't want to pop.
Yeah, we're pulling back in.
No, Apple's something wrong. Apple has got something going on here. It's just a little bit weaker than the overall market.
Yeah, I would say so. Again, it was showing that weakness right off of the open, right, Neil? We kind of observed both Nvidia and Apple looking a little distinctly different from the other Mag 7 as Softy, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, all kind of ripping to the upside along with the spider there, and along with the rest of the market as well. And then Apple not really showing us that strength, pulling back in aggressively off of a pre-market high of 224.59s on Apple. So gonna continue watching that one there. But that 19.5 coming right back in here on the Nasdaq. So we're gonna be watching that one. I'm curious to know, where some of these tickers go from there. What's going on, Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. If you feel lost in the noise of the market, then you need Benzinga Pro. Benzinga Pro cuts through the clutter and gives you the insights you need to make smarter, faster trades. From real-time news to unusual options activity, we'll show you exactly what's moving the market and why. Don't miss out on your chance to trade like a pro. Visit benzinga.com/pro to start your free trial today.
There you go. And that's exactly how, things like that DJT, that's exactly how we're able to find them. Like, again, if you're trading DJT, you have a chart up, you're going to know instantly that something had just happened. You might not know what the news is, but you hear it in your Benzinga quickly. Or, that's our news source. That's what we use. So they're reliable as far as I'm concerned. And you hear that it's going because of the reason. You could have caught it early. Obviously, the initial halt would have been good, but it is pulling back in, retesting the open price, $18.50. So the reopen was $18.6, the bottom was $18.5 after the halt. The halt price is technically like was like $18.10 or something like that here. So I think it's about to retest. If it breaks the previous halt bottom, I'd look for that $18 level. That's what needs to hold. I just joined in an Apple because it started to pull back into the upside. But while this is happening, I feel like this is the spot here on DJT. If it's going to make a bounce, it's going to be somewhere in here. Manic Narula saying, Tesla, please. Tesla, please. Sure. I have 2 trades in Tesla. And I feel like, I don't know, like I had a decent short and it stopped out. Then it was like right after it was way better, a decent long, but then I should have been short right after that. I don't see much of, I don't know what the Tesla here. It's like maybe a VWAP play or a 230 play, but the better short happened above VWAP previously. So I think that's what I'd want, despite the fact that it didn't work out how I wanted it to. I didn't need to add to it on the way down. That's always silly when you do that, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just get it in and get it in good, and when you have a good price, and don't worry about it, because you compromise on price to get more, and then you turn a good trade into a small win. It's silly to do that, I think, at times. But I'm not going to compromise on price. I feel like the resistance on Tesla has been above 230. So if it's going to go up and I want shorts, that's where you need to see it. It was a 231 breakout today. It's above its 50 period without breaking that big 235 resistance. 235 is the real level. Like, that's the one for Tesla next week. We break 235 next week, anything can happen here for Tesla as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's a monster level.
No, I definitely agree on that one.
Yeah, that's the one that literally everybody on the floor is going to be punching long if Tesla breaks that 230.
If it breaks it with any sort of distinction, yeah, definitely. I think it's worth a little bit of decision making in and around that 235. But again, I kind of pointed out earlier, every time we have come up into that 235, we've observed some aggressive selling back down. So it seems to me that whoever or whatever is selling up there definitely has to do a little bit of a lift action there. Yeah, if that seller lifts, then I think we can do some nice moves past that 235 as well. Yeah, DJT holding those 18 halves as of right now. I did kind of flip short there. I continued to sell, and I was like, all right, well, if we're gonna hold underneath 19, I do want to continue the
Are you
selling.
in position?
Yes, but I am in the demo, so I just have to point that out. Just trying to take reps, right? Again, I'm trying to get back on the mental, man. Like I don't think my mental has been the best over the past couple of weeks there, and my trading performance is definitely kind of feeling in. That's the thing about trading, right? It's like a lot of people think it's just like you can just be like, oh. I have my rules. I know what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera. I can just
only
come in
was that easy.
If only it was that easy. The mental game is definitely a significant part of it. If you're not on top of your mental, then yeah, you're not. Even if you have rules, even if you have systems, you're not going to perform very well in terms of following them and adhering to your rules and adhering to your systems. And the thing is, he says this in Atomic Habits: you fall to the level of your systems. Right, and it's like if you don't have, which is something I'm working on. If you don't have a system which kind of protects you from when you're not mentally like at your best, then you're going to be falling to that. And I'm finding myself kind of with that. Like today, I did not have the stops that I should be having. Right. I did not have. You're looking at your sleep. No, right?
No, I'm just showing this. Like this is
my sleep. My sleep is not optimal.
It's my whoop. I had a green recovery day today.
Yeah.
I got good sleep. It wasn't great. I mean, I stayed up to watch the game a little bit, and then after Tua got hurt, it was like I found it hard to even celebrate the Bills win. It's not fun to see someone get a brain injury. I love football, and football is a great sport. It was really difficult. Usually I'll stay up for the Monday Nighter when it's Bills all the way through. I just really didn't want to see that replay again, and the Bills had it underhand. But I got a green recovery despite not having a lot of sleep. And I will tell you that since I've gotten this, I got 6 hours, which is pretty normal for me.
Yep.
But if I have a day where, even if I've gotten my normal sleep, but I'm sitting on a red recovery, maybe I had a big workout and strain, or I'm getting a bit of a bug, or I had a couple of drinks, like I'll know I'm not there, or I didn't get enough like deep sleep and no REM, like my recovery sleep was not very good. You know where you're at. I can feel the difference. So I got to do something.
You can definitely feel different.
You got to do something to make sure you're sharp. And the other thing was, and I told Adara this off camera this morning or yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that the old location of our trading floor in Toronto used to be next to this bar called the Sports Cafe. And suffice to say, when you're young and you first come in, you start like you're living at home for the first time, and you're working downtown and you're making money, making some money. Traders used to frequent the cafe a lot. And so Thursdays was like, it was cheap quesadillas, and pints were cheap, and like I said, you started to make some money. There were some good Thursdays, and what I found was the smarter traders were willing to forego the FOMO and just come in late on Friday. Now, I was always I'm the first guy on the trading floor. I come in early. That's my routine. When I did that and was stubborn about it and still showed up at the office at 7 and woke up at 5 a.m. after a night of drinking, I traded like crap until I had to recognize, you know what? It doesn't matter if that's my routine. I was out late. I'm better off just sleeping in and trading the afternoon. And when you realize that the guys that would come in at like 12 o'clock and be chill and then have a great trading day when I've just probably shut myself down in the morning hungover. It's like, what are you even doing? You got to treat this like a business, which means making business decisions.
That's very fair, yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. But the good old days in there. DJT, I did just get in on the bounce, just speaking of like systems.
Long short. Oh, you're long, okay.
I put the long in there. Look, I missed the short. It was pretty silly. I paid for locates. Excuse me, and I missed the short because I was playing the long. I was playing the long breakout, and that was the right place. But if you play this the other direction, it gets so hilarious. Like you know what price to make a decision. That's part one, so good. But the second part of that is to make the right decision. But I'm long now with a stop underneath the low. Like it bounced exactly off of the previous halt low, but couldn't break 19. You know what? If it's not breaking 19, I should not add. So I'm not going to add to this because it's not showing strength off the level. If it breaks 19, I can look to add. For now, we'll just hang on to it as we go to Adara again.
Just be wary. We have Walgreens getting its largest volume candle by far today and trying to make a bit of a move upside here. We have this announcement here that the U.S. is having Walgreens pay $106.8 million to settle these allegations, basically that they billed the government for prescriptions that were not dispensed. So some prescription dispensing charges here being settled by Walgreens for $106.8 million. Actually setting the stock to the upside. They do, though, it is worth noting, have about a 9.6% short float. So WBA on watch here, guys. Let's see what it does heading into Power Hour.
Nice. So I did observe, like, on Walgreens,
isn't that
a
just
little bit of volume, but
isn't that just fraud? Why don't people go to jail for stuff like that? I know why people don't go to jail for stuff.
Color of the collar? Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we're talking about like sleep and rest, definitely. Like I did not perform well today. And look at this right here. I can show you guys.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Is it gonna? Oh, right here. Boom. 3.5 hours, Neil. 3.5 hours of sleep I am on tonight or last night. So.
See, now this is a curious thing to me. You're a young man. You don't have kids.
No.
Now, 3.5 hours. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. I was the same way when I was younger. So like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
You know what?
So I mean, like the question.
Don't
becomes,
listen to my old.
What am I expecting, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like, yeah, okay, you can have an idea, and again, sloppy trading, if you even want to call it that, and obviously the sleep and the sleep score are very telling in terms of the rest that I have received.
I'm surgical with my sleep now too. I test things out like my Whoop. Like I do a journal every single day. So I'm like, okay, if I say that I started a weighted blanket or darker room or I had the fan on and like that kind of, or kept it a little bit more cool.
Yeah.
And then I noticed like what works and what doesn't work. And that's how I've refined things for myself at least. So I used it because I was always really like, my pops had some sleep troubles, and I was a terrible sleeper. I'd wake up multiple times during the night. I had all kinds of trouble. I'm like, I don't want this to affect my career and my family. So I'm like, let's figure this ish out. And so I got the app, and everything has changed since then. Like I have consistent sleep. I get 4 cycles, all that good stuff, because I treated it seriously, and that's what happens. That's not funny, JKL, but okay. First things first. I don't like the price action here. I'm not reloading this. I'm going to say that the second time. If it breaks, I'm getting out. But because I love our entire community, and I thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you, JKL. And I'll read it aloud, even though this is ridiculous. I can't sleep because of the spiders in my room. So if you were watching if you guys were watching when we transitioned from the midday show to this one, there's look at this thing. See, probably good not to reload. This is coming down again, by the way, on DJT.
Yeah, I like the.
I don't like spiders. It's that simple. But I'm at the only thing that gives me like courage around them now is like my daughter's afraid of spiders, which basically means if there's a spider and she's afraid of it, for that moment, ain't no fear.
Yeah.
None at all. Because trust me, that's the only. It's so incredible. Sean and I joke about this all the time.
At all? Like,
No, not even a little bit. Everything is different.
Right.
When it's everything is different when it's your kid.
Like biologically different. Like I was talking
about my
friends. Right. As soon as you have kids, you're literally your brain chemistry changes.
Everything changes. Everything.
Your brain chemistry physically changes. So again, there's definitely a lot of research done on this.
Ramin is ruthless, by the way.
Yeah, Ramin's like, you thinking about your cats? Yeah, no. That's funny.
Ramin is cold-blooded.
We'll come back after we pass it to Dara. What's up?
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience is revolutionizing brain health. Our groundbreaking brain network analytics technology is transforming care for patients with depression, dementia, anxiety, concussions, and ADHD. With 15 years of research and a wealth of brainwave data, we are set to illuminate the future of diagnostics and treatment. Pharmaceutical companies and medical practitioners, get ready. FDA 510K cleared BNA technology is here to supercharge your clinical trials and enhance patient care. Join us at Firefly Neuroscience, traded on Nasdaq as AIFF, and be part of the next big leap in neuroscience. Ignite hope, one brain at a time.
There you go. We were just talking about being sharp, keeping your A game up, and I keep coming back to it. You know, I hear that, and I just think more back to the last night's game, and yeah, tough for Tua, man. I really, really, really hope that guy doesn't play again. What's one of the more difficult things when you have like a sports hero, where you see the guys that have been in the trenches, and you see them later on in life. Like I think about Junior Seau. The guy was a beast, and then CTE took him away. My dad wasn't a huge fan of Sugar Ray Leonard, and then watching him late in his career. But just back into trading here, a couple of things. We are moving to the downside. I got those fills, well, like one of them anyways, on Intel. Now 1955. Have a great weekend, Fabian. But I did not get the offer. Ha, 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 Intel, on the offer at exactly what the high was, and then not giving me the high. That's not nice. Because that's where I wanted to sell the stock market. So you're supposed to go there and give me the fill, not go up there and then fall. That's not, like I said, that's just not nice. But the market doesn't care what I think. Apple bouncing a little bit off that prior bar low, 222.40. So I did take some out in front of 222.40. I'll reload this back in here. Like I feel like this should be a reload in the 70 range. Like in here, 65 to 70 on Apple. That's where I'd like to play the reload, Adara.
It's pretty lightly traded, but just be aware we have LMT, Lockheed Martin actually pushing up a little bit, getting its largest volume candle in quite a bit here. Pentagon saying that they basically have the U.S. State Department approval here of this potential $7.2 billion sale of an F-35 aircraft to Romania. So potential aircraft sale here, sending LMT to the upside with a nice little volume pop as we head into Power Hour, guys.
LMT.
Yeah, we are in Power Hour here. So again, I'm just trying to take reps. I know the position board is not showing my positions. Again, want to reiterate that I am trading in the simulator because I did shut down in the morning session there. Again, we talked about performance versus the rest. Got to do a little bit better on that one there, but I did like the long off of the halt there into DJT. You can see I have outs into the 20s and the 20 halves. There, flip short when we get back below that 19, looking for that plunge back into that initial closing price because we are already trading below that open price of the halt. So the opening price was, I think, 1861, and then the low of that bar was 1853, and we're trading at 1825s to 27s on the book right now, only about, 10, 15 pennies away from, because we halted at 1809, right? We're only about 10 pennies roughly away from that level right now on DJT. So I guess I'm looking for that halt down. We halted up twice. Can we do a little bit of a halt down, or is the book kind of balanced enough to kind of sustain some of this price action as of right now? I have no idea, but I do like the short below some of these levels here. Let's see if that action can kind of do a little bit of a rubber band reversion, right? So strong reasons to sell up in the 20s, pulling right back into the 18s again. Thinking about it, anybody and everybody who got long post halt is definitely underwater right now by I guess about 20 pennies, which is nothing too crazy. But again, being an $18 ticker and the amount of volume this thing suddenly got in the action that we've had so far, oh boy, yeah, definitely some intermediate or intraday traders potentially underwater, longs specifically underwater underneath that 1853. That's specifically longs who got long after or post halt. As of right now, let's see if that level reclaims. That's perfectly fine. I have no idea what this ticker is going to do, but I'm trying to listen to some of the story that did happen on the way up there. I guess Oracle as well. I'm a little short here, 162.14s. It's trading right back up. I had some covers below the 162 break there. It actually holds 161 halves. And 161.45 is the low of this consolidation right here, and we're attempting to bid right back up on Oracle there. So there's that one. 1807s. Oh boy, here we go, Neil. We're trading back below, or we're trading in and around the halt closing price here. So let's see if we can catch a little bit of a bid. Anybody who chased into that halt is sitting in and around some of these levels there. So I'm looking for that halt down. Let's see if we can get that. How much further do we have to go down to halt down? I have no idea, but that momentum definitely reverting. Some of the best reversions, Neil. Intraday, mid to small cap.
Oh, yeah.
Beauty.
That's definitely a beaut, and it's dumping now. Got to dodge on that one, probably at the right time. It would not be crazy if it just retraced the entire move. at least down to $17, the prior high. I think that would make a little bit of sense. The thing about the halt is it's not just a percentage that it has to move, right? Like it has to do it within the right time frame,
exactly.
right? Like it's got to happen fast because like you can go from 20, like obviously it going from a high of 2080 down into 18 and a half, like should have been enough, but like on the way up, that took 15 minutes as opposed to less than 5 minutes. So I don't know if it has that in it anymore, but you never know. Certainly a possibility. You know what's crazy? We mentioned this and then we didn't even remotely go over Adobe. And 525 on Adobe. I know you said, I don't know if you showed it, but Adobe, this market, in the pre-market show, you could literally rewind it. We went over Adobe and said, hey, look, I don't see anything great on this stock unless it gets to $525. This wick is actually $25.70 or $25.80. So technically it's like 26. What's this bottom in here? $526.55, and now it's $9 higher. The other thing that's happening is Bitcoin 60,000 is in play right now.
Okay.
So I'm just sliding on over to like, this screen is my last one, but it's trying to break 60,000 here on BTC. What's interesting about this is you're testing higher on BTC when the Nasdaq is testing lower off the highs. So you're having a pullback, but you're still holding. It's like holding the upward trend near the top end of the range. Feel like we're breaking. It's still both of them are still stair stepping, but I still feel like Bitcoin looks a little bit stronger. It might be worth looking at a Coinbase over there if you guys are into it. I still like Apple as a short. It just looks really weak, Apple. I don't know what the story is with Apple today, but you know, to go red when the market's green. Market's not doing anything, and then Apple just started falling all over itself here. I think we can retest that 222, but 222 has been big support. So I just realized when I pull up to 15 minutes, like I should be on the bid in front of 222, which I'm going to do now. Let's see if we can get that low on AAPL. DJT, oh, it's not flushing through 18. It's trying to come back up.
Yeah, I mean, it's holding that 18 as of right now. But yeah, every pop has kind of been sold into. Let's see, again, it's chilling around that same area where the halt closed there as well. You did point out that Adobe, and I did like that. So let's take a couple reps here. Again, let me explain myself as to why I like this Adobe so much. Here, a little bit of a flat top breakout here. Potentially happening. So you can see how the price action is kind of built up into it. Let me just pull it up right here. So all day, Neil, we sell off aggressively off of the open. Look at that little bit of a shelf here at 536. We sell off a little bit more. I'm sure VWAP is in and around here as well. Look at that. VWAP holds. We attempt to break below VWAP. We can't get too far past some of these prior lows there. We can't even get to this prior low here. We reclaim VWAP, sells into VWAP, hold into 533s, and then we're pushing back, building back up in towards this 536 going into the end of the week. So let's see if we can get that little bit of a pop, or do sellers kind of continue to hold this 536, looking for that seller that's been there apparently since the morning session and part of the mid to end of the session there to lift off of that 536 to push up. But we are incrementally making higher lows building up into this flat top at 536. So I do like that there. Let's see if that can come into fruition as Adobe potentially pushes a little bit higher here. Again, earnings day one, guys, on this ticker. Oh boy, this 525. I think that was definitely the trade. Doesn't give you that 525 quite close, but again, it gives you 526 halves on this dip in and around, what is that, 940. So that initial dip was at 528. I saw that and I was like, oh boy, that might be it. And then it dips right back down, kind of licking that one there as well, making a low at 526.60s there before it reclaims VWAP and pushes to the upside. Let's see if this one comes in. Only about 45 minutes left until the close there, Neil. And Nicole here is saying no liquidity in the market. Yeah. I mean,
the volumes are low. It's Friday.
Yeah, I guess.
Week before Fed.
What's the volume here on the Nasdaq? I got volume here on the Nasdaq sitting at 300K. I have volume here on the ES. Bless you, Neil. Volume here on the ES sitting at 650K. Oh. So yeah, volume a little lackluster on the day today when it comes to some of these futures. Here comes 535.70s on Adobe. Can we make it to the top? Can we break out of this flat top here? Neil is saying, yes, we can. I have yet to see it. Where's the book on this one? The book's a little gone. Oh, that is not a NYSE ticker. That is a DAC ticker. Am I not typing it right? There we go. It's ABDE. ADBE is this one right here. Okay, boom. Let's go. There is a book right here. So we're trading 61 to 69 on the 535s there. Let's see if we can finally break through that. A little bit of a price compression kind of coming into this flat top here with those higher highs. Here comes that 536, Neil. Oh boy, can we make that high? Can we break out? Let's see, 536 to 18s is the high right now. As soon as we clip that 536, we got kind of sold off right into, but we're sustaining the 80s. Again, building up into it with higher lows on Adobe. 536 happening right now. The spread is actually not that bad. I was looking at this morning. I'm like, okay, I like this as a trade, but the spread was quite aggressive.
That's not bad
this is
at all.
less than a 15-penny spread, Neil, on a $500 ticker. That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, let's see if that comes in, or maybe I'm just looking at it at the right time when the spread is actually closing into a flat top break. So let's see. Again, a key area that's kind of shown itself in the morning session as well, in the mid to end of day as well. Maybe it makes sense that the spread is closing in as we make a decision here, whether we sell off or we bid up and finally break out. Let's see, the market is holding that 19.5 right now, and the ES also holding some of these prior intraday supports at 600-ish, 625s as of right now. Again, 45 minutes into the close. Here we go, Neil. We are breaking out 536.60s. Oh boy, why can I not trade like this on the live?
It's later in the day. You got the energy back. I'm actually all right. I think Apple's making a bit of a bottom here. We're getting some good reps in
for next week. You know, precision is what I need to be focused on, and I guess this compression into. It's funny. I took a similar trade on Nvidia yesterday, where it was really compressing into it, and near the end of the day, it was around the same time as now. I think actually, if I remember correctly, it was around 245. And yeah, that 120 breakdown, aggressive sell into 119s, bids right back up. But that was a nice little scalp here. Let's see how long this bid can continue. Again, this level has been this seller has been kind of holding for the whole day, and it seems like finally that seller has lifted, and we're trading 70 pennies above that. Again, it's a $500 ticker. 70 pennies is nothing really too crazy here, but let's see how much further we can get bid up there. Pre-market consolidation lows is where we're at right now here. But that pre-market low, definitely we held that much earlier, confluencing with that VWAP hold with some of these sells. Day high sitting at 543.84 here right before the open, coming in that aggressive sell-off into that 525 area before we bid back up. Slow grind to the upside here, Neil. Let's see how much further we can get. I am seeing a lot of green prints here on the tape. So it seems like there's a lot of buying happening with not as much selling. So let's see if we can break through the next dollar here. 536.90s incoming. So about $1, about $1 off of that break almost there. If we can get to that 537. Let's see what goes on. DJT still holding that 18, man. So it seems like we're kind of consolidating in and around that initial halt up price, that reference. We held that 18 as of right now. 1809 were some of those final prints on that initial halt up on the presidential, I guess, seal coming in on the DJT.
It doesn't.
I am not selling. So
yeah,
that'll definitely move a ticker.
No, it's the mechanic of a lot of people were probably. I mean, it was going down anyway. DJT was trending down before. People were really talking about the lockup, but I think that certainly gave it some more acceleration the last couple of days. So you unwind some of that, and shorts are going to cover a limited amount of shares. I just jumped out of Apple. We're getting a bounce on the future 19.5. So, and Apple's making a bit of a rounded bottom. So when that happens, it's like, okay, Adobe had broken out, the Nasdaq starts holding this 19.5, and maybe we're headed back up top. That's a good place to get out. I'm also going to not reload Intel at these levels. I was looking at AMD for long, and I'm like, what the heck? AMD's not moving. I went over to Tesla. Is Tesla breaking out VWAP? It's getting close. Tesla seems to want to make a run at this here, and it's about to go through. So, look, I'm looking. It's making higher lows on Tesla, so you can draw, like, there's, nice, obvious sort of trend into this local top here, 229.70. I'd like to see it punch through that and then try to go long in Tesla. It also would be a red to green story for Tesla if it goes through that high. So I am in favor of this. Just looking across some of the other things. Remember, Nvidia wasn't doing a heck of a lot. The other thing is Bitcoin's making that run at 60,000. It's not quite, I don't think it's there yet. Nope, it's not there just yet. Would like to see some follow through. I love when you make higher lows into a flat top break, but I don't want to be waiting till it gets all the way up to 230. It's 320 at this point. So you got 15, 20 minutes or so. I don't like putting on trades into the imbalance in that final 10 minutes. So getting into something, I want it to happen in the next 20 minutes. We do have a special guest on our aftermarket show tonight. It's actually the first time. What's interesting about it is we get a lot of questions about options.
Right.
And we usually have Danielle Shea when we're talking about options. No, but we've got Brent Kuchuba from Spot Gamma, who's an options trader who's going to come through. Founder of Spot Gamma.
Nice.
He's going to come through. We'll be able to talk about anything, like whether it's Nvidia or just Friday, so lots of options expiration. Lots of things are volatile and moving around here. So it should be fun. It's a new guest for us. We're excited for that. We always get like I said, we get a lot of questions about options, and I'm not an options trader. And I've said this before. Tesla just broke that 70. I've said this before. The most I ever do with options is bought some covered calls and things that I've held in the long term. That's as freaky as I get. Sold covered calls, I should say. But I'm not really too crazy about them. Tesla trying to break in through VWAP. I still think DJT can be a short. I know you're in it. I'm looking at this now that it just failed back underneath.
Yeah, we're trading below 19.
Yeah, like I'm looking at this as like another breakdown where I give it to this high at 1840. Like I've only gone long this stock, and I'm feeling like this is looking like a pretty juicy opportunity for a short. So I'm just gonna make sure I have a stop underneath Tesla, and if we get another pop and fade into VWAP or just a flat bottom break, which I don't have an order for. Oh no, no. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're already doing it. Not yet. Okay, it hasn't broken yet, but it might. It might. Break the 75. Break the 75. I'm looking for a breakdown here or a pop into VWAP on DJT. The market making that attempted bounce. I did get out of Apple. It was a good out, but now it's starting to come back down again. So we might have been a little bit early to exit that trade, which is fine. I felt like the market was bouncing on Apple, and it was the right decision to want to get out of that one. Of course, in typical fashion, when I'm looking for something to break down or break out, the second I decide to start staring at it so that you guys can see live if I get into position, it just doesn't happen. So there it is. It doesn't break. I don't necessarily like putting it in the ether. I'll usually throw it at like a 75 or something like that. So yeah, it technically wicked. This low is 83. Not likely to punch short at 82 when 83 goes. I want to see it take that 3/4 mark, and then I'll jump in, give it back into 18. Oh, hey, Davis said we had a super chat. Did we miss a super chat? Apologies if we did. Devion Wade saying Novo. And all it says, thank you for the super chat, Devion. Only thing it said is Novo Nord. I mean, you obviously mean Novo Nordisk. Is Novo moving? To downside here. Is there news on Novo? Yeah, it looks like something happened here at 245 on Novo. Just let me quickly throw that up on my Benzing. I didn't hear anything on Novo, but if there's news, we should be able to get it to you here. No, I don't see anything on the wire. Clearly something happened to get underneath 137. I'll maybe ask Adair if she saw anything at Novo Nordisk. Clearly something happened. About a half an hour ago.
Was pointing Novo out earlier, right?
And it's heading to the downside for sure. I just threw it in there and did not see anything. I can also throw it into Twitter. I mean, anybody can throw it into Twitter on Novo. Yeah, head to the downside. Not a huge move overall. And it's been doing pretty well on the daily the last couple of days, maybe running into some resistance at 138 here. Nothing to be scared about. I mean, it's still an inside day for Novo. Like, you're holding on to the top end of the range. All you've done is consolidate for a day. So if there was anything bad that caused that spike, because you can see the volume spike to the downside, it didn't make it break down at all. So I guess it held on to that. Yeah, so Devion looks like a consolidation day for Novo. The other thing that would make some sense is, what did Eli? Maybe Lilly made a move at that time, and there was news on Lilly. See, if there was no news on Novo, see, Eli Lilly's down as well. So what I should have done is I should have searched for news on Eli Lilly, not Novo Nordisk. Because there's a decent chance it was like Lilly news that this was down on sympathy for. 1240, but that's way earlier in the day. The last thing I have was just JP Morgan with price target change on Eli Lilly. I don't see anything for them either in the middle of the day, but clearly something happened on the GLP names to take them to the downside about a half an hour ago. So they're looking pretty weak. That's the best I can tell you for these ones.
Yeah, that DJT is slowly but steadily grinding to the downside. And on the other hand, Adobe is slowly grinding to the upside. 537s incoming once again. We did pull back all the way down to 536s, couldn't get back through 536, coming right back into 537s. Initial test printed 537s to the T. We're back at 99s on the ask here. Here we go, 99 gets broken through. We're printing 17s now on Adobe with that flat top breakout. Oh boy, that 535 was definitely nice. Yeah, it kind of just goes right away. Market still holding that 19.5, guys. So 19.5 continues to stay a little bit of an interesting level here as it's held as both support and resistance. Here, 1770s on the bid. Let's see if we can get taken out. No real size on the ask, and I feel like every little bit we keep pounding into the bid here. I mean, no real size on the bid here. Let's see, Dustin Price with the super chat. Thank you. I've been listening to you all for weeks and have made great profit. So thank you. Unfortunately, because of that, I've developed a Canadian accent and sounds off here in the deep south. Be well. Well, you know what? Maybe potentially a little bit of a side effect, but glad to know that you've made some profits. Again, thank you for your time, spending that time with us. Thank you again for the super chat. Appreciate.
Do we really have accents that are that bad?
I don't know. I feel like the deep south, I guess, definitely has a distinct accent. But like if you're from there, everybody else has a distinct.
Where are you from, right? Dustin? Because like the South is there's a lot, man. There's a lot of South. I spent time in Florida. I've been down Texas, but I've never been to Arizona. I want to go to Arizona. You could be absolutely anywhere. I once drove from Florida all the way back. My brother went to school in Florida, so when he came and moved back to Canada, he had to get all of his stuff back and drove his car back. And I kind of did a road trip with him. It was a lot of fun. What people don't realize. Well, I shouldn't say this because Americans probably do realize this. What a lot of people don't realize is like in the U.S., there's like it is freaking gorgeous driving through the United States.
Oh yeah.
If you've never,
yeah.
Like it's not the perception that I think a lot of people have, and we're Canadian, so a lot of Canadians don't realize this. But man, it's absolutely gorgeous driving through the United States of America.
When I was young,
it's amazing. Yeah.
We had a road trip where we drove from Fresno to Connecticut.
That's a trip. That's a trip. I love road trips.
Took a few days, man. But we drove across. It was definitely very, very beautiful. Kind of,
it's unbelievable,
that trek.
There's nothing like a road trip with the boys, man. Or what? Your friends?
It was with family. It was with family.
Friends, family. It doesn't matter.
I was young. I was like, I still had the Game Boy without the backlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's straight up gangster right there. Yeah. South Arkansas. Dustin is from. Nice. So there you go. JCB Sports Cards. My brother went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. My brother is I trade stocks for a living, and my brother animates kids shows.
Nice.
How nice? How like serious? Like I say this every single time I talk to my brother. Like you have no idea how. You tell him we make kids. He literally makes kid shows. He didn't want to work in video games.
Yeah.
He loves making cartoons. He got to make the new Inspector Gadget. He was on that one.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great dude. It was the same school that Venus and Serena went to that school. He was there when they went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. They did like some kind of fashion design or something. He used to see them in the halls and stuff, and brag about that. But it was also I spent one summer. So I was in school here in Canada, up in Waterloo, and my pops was down. My pops worked for Nortel down in Fort Lauderdale, and so I spent one of my summers in between first and second year, and I had no green card, so I couldn't work. So I spent my summer in Florida, where even if I wanted to, I couldn't have a job. That's my excuse, everybody, because I couldn't work. And so all I was doing was chilling. My brother was in school, my dad was working, and I was just chilling. I'd go to the beach. Whatever, as long as the place was clean. South Beach is fun. I'm just going to leave it at that because it's a family show. But South Beach is really, really awesome.
You're talking about Miami South Beach.
Yes.
Yeah. What about North Beach? Is there nothing at North Beach? Because I know there is a North Beach.
Look, man, there's a reason South Beach.
I've been to South Beach. I
don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
It's
like
a
you
lot
just
of
be
fun.
chilling out. I'm not making this up. Even during the day,
it's packed.
I was
totally packed.
in the middle of there was one weekday. I'm on the beach in the middle of a random. It could have been like a Wednesday, and I'm just chilling out, just having whatever, like having fun, like a couple people with a couple of my brother's buddies, and I'm not like walk right in front of me, J-Lo.
Yeah.
Like nothing's happening. I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? And it's like, it's South Beach. It's what happens here. Okay, for a Canadian boy like me, that's just nonsense.
What do you think is the best thing to do at South Beach?
That's a tough question. It depends on how old you are and what you're into. I'll leave it at that. You guys can determine that for yourselves. The biggest mistake, what you should do though, is if you happen to be at South Beach for a bachelor party. Now I'm just throwing, this is all hypothetical for everybody. This is a complete hypothetical. If you happen to be at a bachelor party and you're in South Beach,
yes,
and you have the opportunity to go to live, like that's on the table.
Yeah.
And you put it to a Democratic vote because live is ridiculous trying to get in if you're dudes. We didn't have any girls with us. We had a couple that we met at it doesn't matter. But we had an opportunity to go there, and
so the procuring of the females must be done before.
More than half of the guys they're like, we don't want to pay that to go in. And all I'm saying is we didn't go in, and we went to another club. Yeah. And 1 week later, a friend of mine went to live and was like, man, that's the spot.
Okay.
Just once in your life.
All right.
Once in your life.
All right.
I'll leave it at that. But back to the market quickly here. I did take DJT, and it's not doing anything, which also means it's not really going up that much. So I still think this one can get to the downside. What's crazy about it is like I have to stop myself from telling I don't care to tell the rest of the story, but it wasn't my bachelor party. And usually, guys, I would tell you guys any story I want, but it wasn't my bachelor party, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Believe me, it's a heck of a lot more fun, but it is what it is, and what happens in South Beach stays in South Beach. Let's go to Adara.
Interesting sector board here. We're going to focus on actually some of these names in the S&P 500 that are trading specifically on the New York Stock Exchange. So NY names making big outsized moves to the upside or downside. And of course, we have to start here with Boeing, BA. Lots of stories with this one. The main story here being that they have about 33,000 workers in their machinist union starting a strike. Both Moody's and Fitch here warning about potential credit concerns with BA with that strike in mind due to some operational issues resulting. So Boeing still on watch here. We also have Garmin, nice recovery, but still down about 5% of the day. Getting this downgrade from Barclays to underweight with a price target decrease from 188 to 133. So big price target cut for GRMN. Last but not least, Uber, pretty subdued right now, but still nicely up on the day, expanding its partnership with Waymo, which was announced about a month ago. So UBER, the one upside mover on this list. Lots of names to talk about as we end a pretty exciting week so far, guys.
I was telling Obi, there are parts of it I can tell. It was, there's a steakhouse. We gone to the steakhouse at Live, in the hotel where Live is. And essentially, to get in and get a table, it was going to run like almost 1,500 Canadian, so over 1,000 US per dude, just to get the table. You still got to pay for your bottles and all that stuff. Like that's, and so not everybody was like, that's cool. Like, so I understand that. Like, trust me, but man, it would have been fun. It is what it is. The market does seem to want to bounce right when DJT is also trying to bounce. So I think it goes into the flat bottom break. Now it wants to take out the top here in DJT. This is probably the only good decision on DJT so far. If we break VWAP, I got to jump out of this trade. Might get an opportunity to reload Tesla. I don't know if I want to. Sorry. Intel, I don't know if I want to. Apple was the wrong decision because I should have reloaded Apple here at 222.70. It felt like the market is still going to the upside. It is still going.
Yeah, we're bidding up off of that 19.
We're still bidding up a little bit here, and Apple's still relatively weak. Like, you're still going up. Like, Apple's something wrong with it, man. It just doesn't seem to want to go higher. It's past 330, so these are like the last opportunities here in the market, I think. And when you look at the imbalance locator, I'm just going to sort it not by time because that would have shown DJT. Nothing over 1 million. Early look is a nothing burger. Isn't a single thing unless you're into Spirit Airlines for some reason. Save as a 700,000 sell, which is absolutely nothing.
This is absolutely crazy, Neil.
Where's Adobe? It's got to be flying.
Adobe is flying 538s incoming right now. So, oh boy, that 535
Bye-bye.
breakout. We were talking about that flat top break of that 536 all day. That seller finally lifts. And what makes this trade, I think, even better is the pullback
AMD.
sustains 536 to the T for a continuation to the upside there. 538s incoming right now. Oh boy, that was, again, that was a good trade. What's the next trade? I still have, I guess I have less than half left. I pieced off a lot of it in and around that 37. I'm like, all right, 2 points off of 535. That's good for most of it there, but it's continuing to the upside there with only about, 25 minutes left in the trading day. This thing continues to bid it back up. Let's see if we can get to that 540 there, Neil. That 541, bit of an interesting area as well. And again, we are breaking out of some of these morning highs here on Adobe. So absolutely beautiful right there. Pull back into that 36. Maintains, and now we're pushing 2 points higher, printing 538s as of right now. 538.12 is the high of this move. High of day in the pre-market for 543.84. But what's more interesting to me is this 540 level, this 541 level here as well. Let's see if we can get to those prices going into the close with, again, only about 25 minutes left here, Neil. And market, yes, is definitely bouncing off of that 19.5, holding as support as of right now. Oh boy, Oracle, dude, Oracle made it all the way down to 161. So the long was definitely not the trade today. And yeah, I don't know why I aggressively fought that long. Any and every pop on Oracle has been sold off. 161s, man. So we did break back below prior day's highs coming into this some of these prior days levels here. Base in and around 159 halves. This little consolidation before we kind of trend up into the close there for a push on that guidance, I guess, change coming into Oracle right in the after hours. Now, again, this is not the earnings move. Earnings was a few days ago, right? Today is earnings day 4. Day 1, you get that nice opening drive. Day 2, you get an opening drive, but consolidating sideways all day. Day 3, you get an opening drive, consolidating sideways all day. Day 4, yeah, maybe a bit of a drive, but a lot of that happened right in the pre-market, and we aggressively sold off right off of the open there for a continuation sell all day long, trending to the downside, printing fresh lows coming into the end of the day here on Adobe. But Neil, some fresh highs here. Not high a day again, not high a day just yet. But well, I'm using pre-market action as well. But not high of day just yet here on Adobe, printing above 538s. Oh boy, where is the next trade? I'm looking for it. Nothing too crazy showing up.
You know what eventually got to VWAP?
What got to VWAP?
No, yeah, DJT's not doing anything. It's a frustrating one. But Nvidia actually got to VWAP finally. It does have an afternoon, very smidgen of an upward trend here. It's only from 18.4, then connecting at 70, and then it just bounced off, and now it's trying to bounce off 90. But immediately it's starting to lose it. So it holds VWAP. I'm like, okay, there's your bounce. I'm going to enter above 19, give it underneath the trend. I'm going to go with a tight stop because, as far as I'm concerned, Nvidia hasn't done anything to warrant a wide one today. No chance. If it can't get to 120 and you're long 119 and the ranges are 30 to 40 cents, then I'm not going to risk more than like 15, 20 cents. I'm underneath here on that trend break. I'll show you my stop is. Ooh, it's actually at 84. I was going to come up with a football player for that, but it's just underneath 85 at 84. So if we lose that, I'm jumping out. I did reload Intel on the short side. So if we lose 84, I'm out. It's only 20 cents worth of risk, but that's what I think it's worth. That's what the range is right now. It's like Intel. Like Intel's going to move 5 cents, then 10 cents, and 15 cents. Nvidia, for me, that's the same station to station that you want to try to be able to take. So that Adobe looks fantastic. I'm going to kick myself over the morning. But the thing about Adobe as well is it's not just that it's bouncing. It's the fact that you had, there we go. It's the fact that you liquidity grabbed the bottom and now have a chance to take out the top. Post earnings, we've seen this reversal before, where it looks like a sell, and if it can break out that high tomorrow, well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if it can get through that top, those are always good setups when you can put that reversal in. So as usual, Nvidia just does not want to go. That's going up. So whatever I lost there, I probably just going to end up flat because I'm shorting Intel. It is what it is. So one win, one loss, and then it'll be flat on them. It's DJT that's frustrating because it's going to lose VWAP here in the wrong way. Back into the upside here, Obi. Looks like it wants to get back above VWAP. It's breaking out that halt price.
Just got out of it.
I felt like this was about to get down. I'm sitting here above 20, but I felt like this thing was seriously headed down to a 17 test, and it was just going to fall all over itself. But it looks like that's not going to be the case here on DJT. I mean, you never know. I mean, sometimes it goes to your level, miss it by a couple of pennies, and then you get really lucky, and then it doesn't run your stop. Like it goes 2 or 3 cents away. Like you just got to 18s, 18, didn't break the 20 level. You get really lucky. It never takes out that quarter, and then it comes back down to the bottom. So I shouldn't be completely giving up on it. But it is 340. We are running out of time. Like if this flushes at 405, that doesn't do me any good. It has to flush now. Now I'm looking for that retracement to happen in the next 15 minutes or so. Otherwise, it's not doing anything for me. I'm going to cancel Apple on a pop because that just made a double bottom. Here, I'll show you guys. Apple just made a bit of a double bottom, and it's starting to accelerate to the upside. There's the double bottom. You can't really see it unless I show you. There you go. It just wicked the bottom and just accelerated back off the top, off the bottom. So I think this is not going to be a reload. Too late in the day for that. It'll be DJT. I'll hang on to Intel because it's not doing anything. And Havana Woody said DJT is not Mullen. You're right. It is not. DJT absolutely is not Mullen. Every one of these things is different. Mullen is in a category of, you know, like I said, Camber Energy for sure is in this category. There's another stock that I know fits this bill as well, where if you pull up a chart, and this is why, if you pull up a weekly chart of Mullen, and for anyone that's never seen this, regardless of what you think about DJT, like this is split adjusted, this is $300,000. Mullen's 13 cents. Camber Energy, whoops, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, so Camber's dead. But Camber, this is
Isn't it delisted?
Yeah, it's still listed, but 6.8 million penny stock. Like that's destruction of wealth. DJT doesn't even, it's not even in the same sentence with those names. Like those names are like historically absurd charts if you were somehow long at the top or long anywhere near the top. The destruction of value in those, it just pales anything. People like to make fun of SPACs and all that stuff. It's like, no, just pull up a chart of Mullen or Camber Energy, and traders know all about that stuff. So we're still into Intel. That's going. Show HKD, says Jules. Yeah, why not? But HKD, see, even HKD doesn't fit in that bill. Like, trust me, I know there's been some doozies out there, but Mullen and Camber are in their own categories. One's $2,500, and it's like a $2 stock right now. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to Camber Energy and Mullen. Those two, they're special. They're special, and not in a good way.
Yeah, definitely a little special there. Again, some of those names, man. Like I always think about it. Like, who has the cheapest borrows? Who has the cheapest long-term borrows for names like that? Like, I want to know that broker. I want to know which firm can do that. Which hedge fund?
Oh, the hedge fund, yeah.
Which shorting hedge funds? Again, we know like a few of them definitely.
That's their career.
Exactly.
No,
the thing is like you look at these tickers, man. I'm like, yo, these trades exist in the markets. Again, just like what 80 to 90% of businesses fail. Most IPOs don't really hold their IPO prices over time. So if you can sustain the drawdown of the move up or whatever volatility, again, Rivian is a great example.
Rivian's a great
example. Like it opened up what, like sub 100, I think, or maybe like 120s. I don't remember specifically, but we made a high of like 170s. So if you could hold that and continue selling all of those prices, I don't know if that's a valid strategy, but like, you know, as it gets higher, maybe your EV does as well, and you just keep selling more exponentially, and then eventually the whole thing kind of falls apart and goes to the dumps there on Rivian. You know what? I'm going to pull up the Rivian chart if I'm going to be talking about it like that. I'll show you guys what is up with that. So we're trading right now at 13 halves, right? but it is nowhere near its former glory. So let's take out a lot of these indicators there. Don't need any of those. We'll go to the 3-hour chart right here. Not for these ones. All I need is the candles, Neil. We'll go to the weekly there. We'll go to the weekly there. You don't need too much other than candles to figure out what's going on here. You can see the initial week, yeah, right here. So the opening price of the initial week, 106s, yeah. So and it was in and around that 100 mark. We dropped down to 95s. The next week, we rip up to 179s from 100 there, and then look at that. Every consecutive week since then has been to the downside for the most part, just aggressively selling off and slowly. Look at that volume as well. Maybe we're getting picked up in and around that $10 level there on Rivian. But oh boy, this thing has not split, Neil. This thing was trading in the 100s all the way up to 179s in 2022. It is the middle of 2024 right now, and oh boy, are we trading significantly lower there. So yeah, if you have the ability to swing some of these names for minimal, if not for free, you're able to keep negative inventory on your books. Oh boy, we're down over 100% from the highs there. It would seem over the course of what, 900 days, 3 or 4 years,
which is insane.
Talk about a long-term investment.
Yeah, it's just different. Yeah. You know, and obviously it just goes to show if you have enough money, there's lots of really seemingly easy ways to make money, but they require a ridiculous amount of money. Like think of it like the I forget the name of the rule. There's the doubling down in roulette. There's actual name of that strategy where essentially like it's not a 50-50 betting on black or red, but it's close enough to it. So obviously in any kind of a real experiment, if you're playing where minimum bet's like $5, you bet $5 on black, you lose, you bet 10. Well, yeah, the idea is you just keep doubling your bet. And if you have an infinite bankroll, eventually you're going to win $5. You just keep doubling up. You just keep going over and over and over again. But it doesn't work because you can't do it because they have limitations on bet size. And I think
Wayne and I were talking about this earlier.
But traders do that too. Traders do that as well.
Though, because for the gambling aspect of it, the probability does not change. But for trading, your EV actually increases as it goes higher, as it makes fresh highs. So you can technically be shorting a lot more with a higher EV. It makes sense to do that, and eventually, yes. Well, and it's like, and that's the thing about mean reversion is like, do you have deep enough pockets to play that game, right?
Yes, but you have to. But the thing about that is, it's then when you're doing that, like let's say DJT, right? Like DJT is going up. Let's use the example of the DJT. If you wanted to short, which I obviously should have done, you know, if you're going to do that on the way up. Like if it goes in here and you short it starting after the halt, so you get 1860 or whatever, then you short some 19s, and you short some 19 halves, and you short some 20s in there. Yeah. And at that point, now you got like a 19 half, and your risk is up to here. Yeah. So you risk $1.50. That can work, but you got to realize the reason why is because if it retraces, you need to be holding
all the way back in.
You need to be holding. Yeah, yeah. If you do that and you're like shotgunning all the way out here by the time it gets to VWAP, like, hey, look at me, I just made 50 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents. Like, you just risked $1.50. So it doesn't matter that you won that trade. For that to work, you need to be getting the massive win to the downside. Like, that's the only thing. Because that's what traders don't do usually. Why was I drawing a line in there? Let me just remember.
People in the chat are martingale is what it's called.
That's what it's
called. So the difference between martingale and actually when it comes to trading, I guess maybe against a trend or like trying to revert or actually stopping out, taking more on the next high. And again, shout out to the One Land Speed. He speaks on this on his Twitter and multiple videos as well, and he explains this quite well. I don't do any justice to his explanations, but again, he talks about this as well. It's like martingale, that is the probability stays the same. That is the biggest difference, right? And that's more along the lines of gambling. In trading, your EV does change. You have situational changes, which change.
But then you also have to adjust.
Exactly.
You also have to adjust your trade to the new reality of the wider range, which is the thing that traders tend to not do when they average up and they average down. Is they're like, if you're accustomed to scalping 50 cents, well, you've averaged in 50 cents down, you still scalp 50 cents back up. When now all of a sudden you need to capture the dollar for that to work out. And that's the mental adjustment that you have to make. And there's a lot of good traders that do that. They know that they got to hold it when you dip in or things like that.
So shout out to Martingale. I get caught up with that all the time. Hence my Oracle trade this morning. I was like,
well,
yeesh. I gotta, at least stop out. At least stop out.
Oh, it is what it is. By the way, imbalances are coming in a minute.
Yes.
I mean, usually I'll hold. I would have held Intel to a resistance spot, but I just punched it out when it broke flat because it was not breaking 65. It did, so I'm not, whatever. It's not moving. I'm gonna punch. I still have my stop in DJT, so it didn't run. It got really, really close. So I was risking about 50 cents, and it did not break it, so I'm not out of it yet. But the imbalances are gonna come in. The only early look that mattered was like save is there for $1 million. Nothing else. I'd suspect maybe you'll see one of the tech names have an imbalance. If they don't, fair enough. There's no guarantee that that's going to be the case, but a nice look here. The market actually holding up pretty well green. You're not breaking out any tops. But let's see what the reaction is to the imbalances. Last ones of the week in just a couple of seconds. I'm just going to leave this on the screen. I'm not anticipating anything gigantic, but you never know. SWN, 3 million sell, BBD for a buy of 1.3, and then save. That's what we were expecting. It came out smaller. 780,000. So we're expecting $1 million, and it came out smaller than that. WBA, 750,000 to buy. APLD's in there, but there's just none of the big cap names are there at all. I'll leave it up. You can see Google down here for 600,000 to sell, but in case something pops up, like an Nvidia late, like I'll leave it up here, but nothing, kind of a nothing burger here for the imbalances to end the week. It is what it is. I'll just keep glancing at it and see if we get anything. No real big breakdown in DJT. Now, the downside, as I said, even if it flushes to 17, it actually has to do it now or it's no good. I'm probably going to jump on the bid for flats here. There's just not enough time. You start running out of time for the move to happen when you got 8 minutes to go, and I do have to get up to the desk. The other thing that you have to consider is if he said he's not selling and the lockup expires on the 20th, Trump said he's not selling. That's why DJT went up in the first place. I should also look at this from the other technical aspect, which is look at where it's catching a bid.
Oh, boy.
It's catching a bid. This is after the debate, the dump. Before the debate, the support was right under here in the high 17s. And that's exactly where it's catching a bid. So it's kind of like, fill back in this gap, and then prior support is holding up as prior support. That's never a good sign. So I can always just get out here and, just take a small hit on it.
39, Neil.
Adobe might be
539.
They trapped some shorts in that bottom. I mean,
it was just a flat top break. It was one of the cleanest flat top breaks I've seen in a while because, again, that flat top formed over hours and hours of trading, right? Look at that. Let's just measure this. Let's just measure the first time testing to the last time it tested before the break. 5 hours, and we've built up higher lows into that, and yeah. I mean, I think Wayne's watching this in the back as well because I can hear him talking about Adobe as well.
Yeah, buddy.
539s testing as of right now. Oh boy! And then you get that market tailwind as well, kind of helping along with the move. 539s on the ask. So oh boy, that was an interesting trade there. That kind of setup. Again, not really falling into your lap just every day, but
every now and then.
Just a little lucky that it worked out. Again, trading on the sim for the later half of the day is what I am doing. Because, again, I was a bit of a degenerate in the morning.
We've all been there, man. I was long several times in Oracle today.
I just got to stop doing that. That's what it is. I got to build effective systems to control my BS, basically.
I did one of the worst things you can do in that situation. I didn't just trade it early on Oracle today. I actually added to a position that I had no business adding to. And it was like the very first bounce off 167. It bounced, and I actually had a good price. Like I had a price underneath 167.5 when it bounced off 67. It's hard to see because it went down so fast, but I had the long in here, and then it started breaking out through 168, and I added to it on the way. Like look at this thing fall, and I think I'm so sure I got the bottom that I'm adding to it on the way up, and that just doubles the loss. Well, it doubles the loss because you've added, but then it's even worse because I've added at a bad price. So it's more than doubling your loss. And when you really think about it, it's more than doubling your loss. And the only time it's set up along, look, and this is what we got to pay attention to. It liquidity grabbed broke the afternoon high, which is a short setup. And then when it finally made a bottom, like I'm down. I was able to make like 40% back, but it doesn't matter. It was a gong show over here. But look where it bounced. Prior day high, prior day resistance, wick bottom, on volume, reversal candle, consolidation, long, and that was the only good long in the stock today. And if you just wait, you could just sit there and stare at Oracle all day long waiting for a long setup and be willing to not trade it. Be willing to miss the trade to make the trade. You make one trade in there, which I wish I had. I didn't. I lost. And you make the one trade and you get your couple of dollar move. And then you're fine. You're absolutely fine in that situation. So I'm going to have to get up to the desk. Sure. I'm going to tighten up my stop on DJT. Not that it matters. It's not doing anything. Just going to move it just above the 18 even at this point because it's not really moving. Ideally, it's going to have to break down in the next couple of minutes or it's just going to be a complete nothing burger on this bad boy. The market's going up here.
Yeah, market's blasting.
Market's blasting.
I mean, maybe not blasting, but like we are retracing. But Adobe is definitely blasting the upside. 540.30 is coming in with only 5 minutes left to go in the trading day here. As the imbalances pair in about 3 seconds, let's see what is going to happen here.
Nvidia is a buy now.
Yeah. A little bit of a flip-flop action there happening.
Yeah, Nvidia is now 1 million to buy.
Tested 540s there on that pop, 540.27 on that. So it gives you about 5 points off of that breakout there through that 536. I guess 4 points off the 536, but 535 if you're watching a little early and watching the build up, kind of get into that. But yeah, 18 still trading here on DJT, Neil. Was it Darwin in the chat saying, Obi, procure the system and you'll be good. Yeah, I still have many systems to procure, and it is a work in progress. So I know I will eventually get there, but
it never actually stops, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's always going to be a work in progress. That's a game that we play, right? We know we're in this.
You got to accept that from the very beginning.
Of course, we're in this for the long run. You have to accept that. Yeah, there will be ups and downs always, and you can always get better. You can always kind of work on your systems, and the market is ever changing as well. So you think you have it. The next day, the market's going to humble you quite quickly. But again, the systems and the discipline is what will stand out in the end. Is what I am learning.
All right.
Here.
There it is. 18's back on the
trading processes and systems, right? So yeah, Printer unloading saying, "Don't worry, Arm got the best of me this week." Yeah, man, we were talking about Arm. Arm was Arm is a tough one to trade. It was much nicer when it IPO'd and kind of had its couple first earnings where it blasted off. A few months ago there, I think it was in February. Arm had some great volatility there. It was a lot of fun to trade as well.
Today it shouldn't have been that hard.
Today we talked about it as well.
It shouldn't have been that hard.
We should have definitely been taking a little bit of a closer look.
I got to get up to the desk. 18 just broke on DJT, so I tightened it from like an 18-20 stop to an 18 stop and just punched out. It wasn't moving at all. But if we had a camera and a microphone on us 15 minutes before we came on air, you would have probably heard us say that Arm was
prep session.
Yeah, during our pre-market, it was a breakout. It was a clean breakout through 143 on Arm, and there's no question about it. And it was even a clean dip into 141. Like dip into prior high, breakout off of that range. It was the classic breakout setup on Arm. Obviously, all we can say is we should have been in it. But in 3 minutes, we're going to be going over to the afternoon market recap show. We got a brand new guest. We got locked and loaded for you guys. So, Obi, thank you for filling in for Sean. Sean,
another great
getting to golf at a charity tournament for a local hospital here. We sponsored the 6th hole at the tournament, which was pretty cool. So, Sean enjoying that. So that's where he was.
He pulled up on the stream. If you guys want to go back earlier on, I think it was still in the pre-market. I think. Before the open, right?
It was before the open.
Before the open. If you guys want to go check that out, Sean
canceled some stuff. I'm gonna get up to the desk here, guys.
Thank you again, Neil.
See you in a couple minutes.
See you, Neil, in a couple minutes. There, you guys got to stick around for that market recap because Neil is going to be covering that again with a new guest today. So yeah, that Adobe went to 540 all the way up. Through that breakout, pulling back in. The high is 540.27s right now, 538's trading. I did get out above that 538. Again, just taking those reps. But that 19.5 coming in clutch for a little bit of resistance, a little bit of support once again coming into the end of the day here. DJT with a little bit of action there. Again, with Trump coming out and saying that, oh boy, he is not selling. And we get that move all the way from 16s to 21s. This ticker has now traded over 20 million shares. It was not doing as much prior to this volume. Most of this volume is after this intraday catalyst here. And yeah, you can tell that nice little move to the upside and a beautiful reversion off of prior highs there, 20s and some change. 21s can't really come in. Back through 20, back through some of these opening prices of the halt there as well. Nice little fade reversion back down into 18. 1809 was the halt price there, and we're sustaining those prices as of right now. So thank you all for joining us today. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great trading week. Now you got to remember, if you followed your process, it's a green day, whether or not you are green or red on the P&L. Today, red for me on both accounts. I do have to do a little bit better with that, but we will be back on Monday, harder, faster, better, stronger, with some better again processes we're going to be working on here. I got to press this timer in about 10 seconds. I see Adara at the bell. Now I do have to mention that the ringing of the bell is sponsored by Firefly Neuroscience. So thank you guys for that. I kind of messed up on the timer here. So I'm just going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara, for that. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a good weekend there. Reviewing of the trades will definitely be happening by me over the weekend. And don't go anywhere just yet. The show is not over. We got Neil at the big desk. Neil at the big desk with the market recap. Again, a brand new guest. Going to be talking about options there. So stick around for that. Just reading the chat here before we send it off. Again, thank you. How'd you end up today? Hey, Davis asking, I am red on the day, both on the P&L and on the process. That is something I got to work on. You know what? It is another day. Tomorrow is another day, and we come back swinging even harder, and that is the game of trading. Got to protect the downside, right? But anyways, I think they're ready for us at the big desk. So market recap with Neil. Stick around, guys. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.
Thank you very much there, Obi. I feel like the chair is a little bit off here. It's like it's lower or something, but it's all good here. We're locked and loaded and ready for the market recap for everybody here. It was a wild day. It was a wild week. But I feel as if today you had to be in the right stocks. You had DJT moving at the end of the day. You had Nvidia with an inside day. Didn't really do a heck of a lot of anything. You had ARM flying around pretty much the entirety of the session. Certainly you had Tesla moving up and down a little bit in here. But then range bound, you look at what happened in very, very specific names. Like Oracle was a big mover. We knew that was going to be a big one. We had, moving around late in the day, Adobe on earnings. And that was a big one because Adobe, if you look at the earnings names, and we're talking about this, and shout out to, I say Adobe, but then like Adobe's our nickname. Our nickname for Adara and Obi, which is hilarious. I can't believe it. Like, how did I not make that joke? It was Adobe earnings, and Obi was on the show, and Adara's right there. I didn't even make that joke a single time. I'm getting old, man. Like that's like low-hanging fruit. It was Adobe, Adara, Obi. I apologize. I should have done that like a million times today. No, but it was a good day at the end of the day, at least for Adobe. We're gonna I'll get to the sectors in a minute here, but Adobe with that late run after an earnings dump, let's call it what it is. But it did make a little bit of a rally. Now it doesn't look that good overall, but you've got to keep in mind here that when you get a gap down, you want a stock to settle down. So it settles down, catches a bid in the aftermarket, and it's about where this thing bounced. On the daily, 525 was a key level. I mean, I can do this for you. Here, we show the daily chart in here, and a quick little flip on over. 525 was a previous higher low when it held a 50-period moving average after the August 5th bottom. It just goes right into this. Catches a bid there. So when you look at it this morning, and you're like, well, what are you going to do with Adobe? There's overnight lows sitting at that same 525. Where did it bounce off this morning? It's not rocket science. Support was there on the daily chart. Support was there overnight. Support was there in the morning. It was a dump into that level. Sometimes you don't have to make trading all that complicated. And we do it. We all do this. We all try to, this is a perfect setup. I got this trend. I got multiple levels. I want to take all these trades, breakout. Then I'm going to also do a dip buy. Then I'm going to follow VWAP and all this stuff. Sometimes it's as simple as after the panic bottom in the beginning of August, the higher low was at 25. The overnight bottom was just in front of 25. If it gets down to that price, just buy it off of that level, and then you saw it trend back in. So it looks a heck of a lot better when I zoom in and only show you after the fact on Adobe. The other one that was pretty strong was Oracle in here, but not all gap ups get held. This is the story of Oracle. Oracle, thankfully, I was able to get some back with a patient long, but not enough. Not enough. Less than half of what I lost in the morning, I got off that one long, like this little bounce in here. But this was a classic reversal setup. And we've talked about this before. You set a range in the afternoon or the aftermarket, and then you want to see how it responds to that range. A lot of times, if you're looking for the gap and continue, what you want to happen is a test of support. Like if it gaps up, you want it to test one of the support levels in here and then go. Well, this was the opposite of that. It tested the resistance level and didn't go. Once that happens, you almost should be thinking short. I know I wasn't, I know Obi wasn't, but it is what it is. We can all admit to it that that was a typical short setup where the first test was the high and it failed it. So why are you thinking long? If the first test is the low and it fails to break down, then you want to support longs and you want to break out tops. If the first test was the high and you don't get the break, gap fill, more and more gap fill until it went all the way to the bottom. Your only good long was this wick here, real wick, and the higher low off of that. But that's what it's all about there. You just have to be able to get better each and every day. So like I said, you're never going to be perfect when you're trading. You always just want to get a hair better. I mean, overall, I'm going to show you these. I'll get to the sectors in a second, but I look at some of the trades that were there for you, like the breakout on multiple breakouts on ARM and a 5% day for it. Nothing. You couldn't have traded a single ETF that's going to get you those types of gains today. I mean, SMH was only up 1 point, and that's because Nvidia wasn't doing much today. Your usual suspects weren't the leaders in the space. It was more about, I mean, Intel at one point was the second best chip name performing. As it was SMCI that went today. It was ARM that went today. You had to try to be on those names. Now, there's a lot that was good. Good day for GDX, good day for GLD. I saw, and shout out to everyone in the chat that was talking about and observing the move that was happening in gold. That gold has been doing very well, upward trending. As you can see, we made another fresh high on GDX. I mean, a lot of people probably care more about GLD. GLD continuing its break of the highs, very strong upward trend. I know Peter Schiff would be happy to see this. But fresh highs, blue sky setup. Another thing that we were talking about today on the show was the propensity, and this was Michael Noss mentioning this in the morning, shout out to him, when you get to all-time highs, you're just underneath all-time highs, statistically, regardless of what it's an equity, an ETF, commodity, whatever it is, if you consolidate underneath an all-time high, typically that's one of the best times to buy a stock or anything because it's clearly strong and it's building at the high instead of breaking down. So that's what just happened on GLD. It built into it, put up a bit of a flag. Now it's breaking out that top. So good look for them. Another strong move today was XBI. The biotechs were back on the run. I know there was a move down in Novo and Lilly at the end of the day. Still didn't find any news for why that happened. But yeah, that was a good move today for XBI. It's going to retest. I'm now going to zoom out and show you. Looks like we're about to get a retest of its significant top at 103. So along the lines of that same theory that Michael was saying this morning, if you get consolidations off the highs, it doesn't always work. You don't always break out the top. In this case, you did get a bit of a consolidation this time through, and it broke down. But the higher lows into a flat top, looking pretty good for that XBI. I think that's going to be on watch next week, XBI, for potential top break or consolidation off that top to get you a bit of a break. As you see there, we got a brand new guest, Brent Kuchuba, and I hope I'm getting that right. I'll ask him if I'm getting the name right because I want to make sure I do in just about 5 minutes. Although we can go to him whenever ready, because I know anytime we get a chance to talk options, which I am a complete and utter novice with, I can talk any stock, I can talk charts, I mean, I can talk trading all day, you guys know, because that's what we do with Trader TV Live. But good to have someone in here who's a bit more of an expert on it. And you know, Brent, it's going to be his first time on the show. I will tell you, if you guys have questions in the chat, don't hesitate to throw them. There's a lot to talk about. Before we get there, I did want to mention everyone always cares about Nvidia, so I wanted to make sure we went over this. It's still trying. It's still trying here on Nvidia to break out from this 50 period. And this is where I was talking about the difference between Nvidia and Arm. Arm held the 50 period and broke out the local high to go higher. Nvidia held the 50 period to now consolidate for a couple of days here. It just didn't have any fall through. So you got your higher lows. You made a higher low bottom off of earnings. That's good. Panic bottom in August. Dip on earnings. Now you got a higher low trend that we can observe, but it's still lower highs. So you're forming a wedge. However, holding the 50 period and breaking out next week at 121 is going to be key. We got the Fed next week. Could that be what pushes us through on Wednesday? I don't know, but it's setting up for a break. We haven't actually had that break just yet. So if I pop the 15-minute up on Nvidia, this is the level of frustration that you have on this stock. Like it did the moves previously. Like you got the big breakouts. Today, frustration, complete chop zone, higher lows and lower highs on Nvidia for the entire day. So it's setting up for that break of 121. And the trader's job is to be patient enough to wait for the trade. And when it happens, great. I think the 21 break has all kinds of potential. I think there's potential for a break on AMD. I believe it's 153 on AMD. I think that's a very similar one. Like AMD, another consolidative type of stock, consolidating off the top. Maybe it's going to go. It's a very similar setup here. It holds the 50 period, trying to consolidate higher lows from that August level, but it hasn't really taken out the top. Actually, this is probably better through 160 in the 200 period moving average. AMD might have a ways to go, but you got to wait for that setup. That's what we're here to do. We're here to be patient, everybody. I'm looking over in the chat, and B Chan is saying KO, please. You know what's always fun about this is we have such a great trading community. Like we'll get symbols thrown at us. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I haven't checked out. I know Coca-Cola's pulled back a bit, but I haven't looked at it since it reversed a little bit of its move. So it's kind of a first thing for me here to check out what KO is doing. And it's still in the midst of that pullback, but a very good, well-performing stock here. I'm just going to throw up a weekly to compare because I love going the other way. Like I like going way out on a stock that I haven't seen. When you pull up the weekly, this doesn't look as good now, does it? On KO, you've got a topping tail candle on the weekly, and then you got this little bit of a lower high. Now we could go either way from here because what essentially happened is the prior week bottom got lost and then reheld at 71, and then we're able to sort of just hang out right there at the 71 level. But that's a rejection. If you lose 71, that looks like a bit of a turning point for KO. The previous high is like a logical spot to always play dips. I could get to 67 here. Obviously, a heck of a lot of other things could happen as well. But yeah, when I look at that weekly, it doesn't look as good as the daily there for KO. If there's anything else you guys want me to look at, I'm perfectly down with that. I do want to point out, going back into some of the sectors here, we were talking about UNG this week, and every time I bring up UNG, and we did this with Ryan Faluna, it's the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker went right back to the downside here. So down 3 points. I know this was something we're looking for a breakout on with Michael Noss. It still hasn't happened. Widowmaker going to make widows. But finally, I think we're ready. It's always fun to have a brand new guest in. So from Options Gamma, I'm going to hit my Trader Talk button. We're going to get Brett here. Hey, there we go, Brent. Now, Brent, I want to make sure I get it right. Is it Kuchuba?
Nailed it, yeah.
I got it right? Okay, there you go. It's one of those things where I can't pretend like we're traders here. I'm not a professional. We just happen to talk all day long, and I want to make sure I get there. Brent Kuchuba, Options Gamma. Welcome to Trader TV Live. First of all, it's a pleasure to have you. How's your day been going?
My day's been great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of Trader TV. I watch it all the time, so it's exciting to be here.
Awesome. Ooh, I love. See, immediately I see the moon in the back. I'm like, I love the setting. Oh, you got yourself.
Full moon. You're one of the few people that pick up on that one. Yeah.
Oh, you got right. See right there. I immediately love it. Is that your? Do you trade from there, or what's the setup?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a home office. I used to live in New York City and kind of made the rural move back in COVID time. So I hang out here. It's nice and quiet, and can concentrate up here a little bit better.
Which is that's the important thing. We're like, I don't care where you're trading, whether you're on a trading floor, you're in an office, you're in a home office. You've got to get the setup right for you. Comfort is always a big deal. I can't trade with these new keyboards. I have to trade with an old one. I'm like an old head myself. But let's get to a little bit of brass tacks. First things first. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about Options Gamma, what you guys do there as well? Just a bit of a start before we get into any stocks.
Yeah, sure. So I have about 20 years of institutional derivatives and trading experience. I worked at Bank of America, Credit Suisse. I worked at an options market maker called Walgreens. After that, I went to a family office for a few years, and that's where I started to model options. And we launched Spot Gamma in January of 2020 with the idea that we could monitor options flows and understand how that could impact the underlying stock. And so that's what we do now. I've been doing that now every day for about 4 or 5 years, writing daily notes, and we have a lot of different data tools on our website as well at spotgamma.com.
Yeah, there you go. So check them out. You said spotgamma.com. You guys are also on X, I believe, so you can check them out on their socials if you get the opportunity. I don't know if we have that, but I'll mention it a couple of times through.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, at SpotGamma. I have never understood when people, whether you're coming up with a ticker for a company or whether you're coming up with a name for a company, why you ever make it difficult on people to find you. Keep it simple, man. and traders are very simplistic when it comes to that. So can I ask you? Obviously, you have a wealth of experience. 20 years is amazing. Oddly enough, I've been trading 20 years as well. So happy.
So roughly the same age, I'm guessing. Then good for us.
Oh, I guarantee you. See, I got more gray than you. I think I'm winning that battle. But is there a particular sector of the market that you might favor or specialize in? A lot of our viewers, we have people that are looking at tech names often. We have people that trade a lot of small caps. We have people that love when we bring up the biotechs. Do you have a bit of a specialty there, or are you a little bit of everything? It doesn't matter where you go.
We're in the U.S. options space, so specifically equity-linked options. So that's S&P 500 and all the individual single stocks. And we cover basically where there's big options flows. Options volumes continue to increase every single year, obviously, with the proliferation of electronic trading and trading from your phone, and then zero DTE options and the like. So I cover whatever I think, wherever I think options are moving the underlying. And so nowadays, that is hyper-focused on Nvidia. I heard you mentioning that before. Nvidia is the tail that wags the dog now, so there's a lot of attention on that. But sometimes it's GME, and other times it's just S&P 500. So that's really where we focus. So
before we get to Nvidia, actually, this is a question I always have, and. So the semis are obviously the tail that wags the dog, as you said. Supermicro is going to be an interesting one because Supermicro has this split coming up on October 1st. And this is something that fundamentally, I think if you trade long enough, we know nothing really changes when you have a split. You have a reverse split, that means you don't get delisted if you're a penny stock. There's something that actionably matters there. But when it comes to a split on SMCI and it goes from a $500 stock to a $50 stock, you can now do sub $100 board lots, so it doesn't really matter to the average investor. However, there is a different aspect when it comes to the options, is there not? Because you're still dealing with option contracts are still in board lots. So ultimately, does it not make it easier, especially with now zero-day options expiry, does it make it easier for people to start playing SMCI options for the everyday trader when they do the reverse split? Is that the big deal with these splits now?
The fact is that when it splits, the options premium should be cheaper, right? Because you're dealing with a lower stock price, and the related premium should be relatively cheaper. And so something we're thinking with not only Nvidia recently, but that was kind of one of the things with GameStop splitting not all that long ago, where you would expect to see an uptick in volume. And to be honest with you, even though I would totally agree with that view or that thought, I haven't noticed a real high correlation between an increase in volume on a relative basis pre or post split. Now, in the situation of SMCI, these things they have a rolling draw of retail attention, right? And so I do think that you are correct. If SMCI becomes the name that everyone's really talking about, there is now more of an open door for the retail community to get involved, and a lot of times that can really generate those gamma squeezes that we all like to catch.
Oh my goodness! All you need is Tesla is the perfect example. Tesla was one of the best ones ever. I feel like it was a couple of splits ago was like 360. Once it got through that 360, it was like a triple up in half a year, which was amazing. But like the stock that you said, the tail that wags the dog, is Nvidia. So can you? Obviously, like today was a frustrating Friday, and I feel like it's because of the move that we had, the post earnings bounce. And then you come into the end of the week, it's expirations before the Fed. So I feel like it was a letdown day in terms of volatility. Did you see anything in the action today on Nvidia? As a day trader, it sucked trading it today because this was the one day that it didn't give us anything. But what were you saying? I mean, like if you were you could have gone perfect with the tops and bottoms, but that's always it. There was never that one trend that you could get into and then just ride it the whole day. But what did you see with Nvidia today?
Yeah, so what's interesting about these big tech stocks in particular is that every Friday is obviously an options expiration, and every Friday you have really large positions, and particularly this week in Nvidia, because of the move off the bottom on the 11th, there was a just massive amount of short-dated call buying taking place in Nvidia off of those lows as soon as Jensen made the comment about customer demand. And so that made this expiration that was today particularly important. Interesting, I just looked it up while you're talking. 120 was the strike that had the most gamma expiring today. So what that basically tells you is there's a whole bunch of positions that were expiring at 120 today, and that becomes the center of dealer hedging flows. And it's kind of like a pin or an area that just keeps the market or the stock a little bit tethered. And so, I think that's why the market sort of writ large just sort of ran out of gas, right? Because I think there was a lot of positions that were expiring today. You're going to go into a weekend, which generally some people don't want to carry options positions over a weekend like that. And, you just had a move that really, that stalled out a bit. When you get a move that's so strong, particularly in Nvidia, I've been calling it, and there's a couple of numerous analysts that say the same thing. It's the Nvidia industrial complex, because the stock is such a big component of the SPX, the SPY. I saw you mention the SMH, XLK, and these leveraged ETFs that exist now. Nvidia, when it goes up a buck, it makes the S&P move. It makes the Nasdaq move. It makes all of the other ETFs that's linked to a move as well. And so it has this ability to reflexively move the market via basically zero DTE or short-dated Nvidia call buying, right? Because there's so much leverage invoked or pushing that stock up that it just moves the entire market up with it. It's really a fascinating thing to watch, and you can kind of link all of these things together. And so, when you're dealing with a stock or three stocks that's 20% roughly of the S&P 500 and 20% of the Nasdaq, that's Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, what ends up happening is that if those stocks aren't really doing much, it's hard for the index itself to outperform.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I kind of wish you get lost in. Day traders get lost in the sauce oftentimes, and I know you want to have that bigger picture, and it seems obvious. Like I can sit there and say, okay, well, I have 120 as a resistance level. I should still be able to buy dips into it and like all this different stuff. But the other thing that you tend to forget is, okay, well, maybe today play a little extra significance into it. And I think if you come in with the approach that it's going to have some gravity, then you begin to realize, oh, I can play off that level. I've just got to play it in a tighter range than normal. Like it's not going to dump $5 off of 120, nor is it going to break. It's going to be hard for it to break $5 to the upside off of it. So it's a fantastic point, and this is exactly why I'm glad that we have you on here, Brent. Because as I said, traders have their specialties, and you can be an options trader, you can be a commodities trader, you can be a crypto trader, whatever. There's a lot of the principles can be the same in terms of price action. There's some nuances in there, but you want to be able to make sure that you're learning a little bit more, just so you have an extra tool in the box when the time comes. Because especially on a Friday, trading on a Friday, you don't want to forget those things. Sometimes I don't, but today I know I wasn't thinking about it, and I should have been trading ARM instead. That would have been an easy transition. I don't have to worry about that. ARM didn't have any reason not to break away. It was through resistance and all that, and all that, and gave you a better move. The next question I got to ask you is going into the Fed. So we're obviously going to get a rate cut. At this point, the last I had checked, and I haven't checked the website in a couple of hours, I think it was like 47% that we're going to get 50 basis points and 53 that we're going to get the quarter. So it's still up in the air what we're going to get. Is there a particular approach that you would have, because you're going to get this in the middle of the week? Now, do you favor on a Fed, especially where we don't know exactly what's going to happen? Are you hands off for a couple of days to see what happens and then maybe play things going into the end of the week? As a day trader, I know on the day of, we try to be as quiet as possible. I usually won't even have positions from 12 to noon, and then I want to play the action after the fact. Is there an approach that you have? Feds can be nothing burgers. But when we're actually going to get a move in the rate, on top of that, we don't know what kind of move we're going to get. There's going to be some opportunities next week, I think.
Yeah, the thing that makes this FOMC interesting is the uncertainty around how big of a rate cut we're supposed to get, right? I mean, I think odds are 100% nearly or as high as they can be that we're going to get a rate cut. But what's it going to be, obviously, is what you mentioned. And that uncertainty is a problem for traders generally, right? If I have bad news, but I know what the bad news is, I can plan for it. If I have good news, it's, same thing. So in this case, that keeps things a little bit jumpy. And what that does is it keeps implied volatility high. And that means that options markets are going to be a little bit jumpy. The VIX is likely to remain a little bit high in through that expiration. And, who knows which way it goes. And to your point, usually they turn out to be nothing burgers. But that uncertainty here seems to be a little different, right? We've been coming off a regime where everyone knew we weren't going to get a rate cut on that day. Now there's certainty of something happening. We just don't know what. The other thing that I want to make sure people are aware of is there's a VIX expiration on that day. And there's also a very large triple witching quarterly expiration taking place next Friday as well. So you have the event of the Fed, which is going to shift implied volatility, i.e. the VIX is going to be moving around that. And that's going to be playing into the clearing of a massive amount of options positions. And statistically, you can see that these are very big turning points for markets. And they can be real catalysts for volatility, right? Meaning price moving up or down. So not only do you have the FOMC and that elevated volatility, we're going to be shifting a lot of positions around. Historically, what that means is it's a change in trend, meaning if we're rallying really sharply into FOMC, we'll oftentimes pull back or vice versa. If you look at the bottoms of historical bottoming in markets, I was talking about March of 2020 or June of 2022, those occur right at options expiration because we remove a bunch of positions. So it's a huge turning point, and some of the risk is idiosyncratic, meaning, hey, Nvidia is doing really well into options expiration. We're going to lose a lot of calls. Maybe that gives some back. And so, there's a lot of positions that will shift. And so FOMC is only a small part of the flow puzzle for next week. And then the other thing that I would note on this is that there has been the death of the 60-40 portfolio, just generally speaking, on the macro side of things. And that was the idea that there was no alternative to stocks, right, in all of 2022. And now what you see is inverse correlation between bonds and stocks, which is the relationship, us old guys are used to seeing historically, right? And that relationship has started to come back a little bit. And so, what was interesting in September and even through August was that if you were long like TLT and short spiders, your portfolio actually did okay. Obviously, depending on exactly what your allocation was, but 60-40 worked. And that's a really interesting theme here because before there was no alternative to equities, and now we kind of get an alternative to equities via bonds. And the reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of hope in the semi space. And I think that's kind of it for equities, right? Either you own Nvidia and these AI names, and that's kind of about it. Like if we get a 50-bit rate cut because the recession is kind of ugly, do you want to own small caps in that regime even though rates are going down, right? So it's sort of like maybe be long the AI stocks on the chip, story, but you want to watch out for an equity drawdown because of the fact that we now could allocate to bonds, and maybe that's a sensible kind of investment. So it really sets up as this chance to kind of bifurcate or drive kind of a stake in flows and could potentially be a lot bigger than just the FOMC as a result of all the potential shifts that are coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say it better. You're 100% the death of the 60-40. It's definitely true. We're not that old, but in the trading game, what's interesting is the market cycles come from the big events, I should say, like the 08s and the .com. Those are now happening like more frequently. I feel like you get it used to be like every 10 years, and they get one every 8 and every 4. Who knows what we're going to see there next? But I'm going to tell you this, Brent. There was a question, and we didn't even have a time to get to questions from the viewers here yet. Brent, thank you so much for dropping knowledge. Like I enjoy talking to traders. Sean, Brendan, all of us here at Trader TV Live, we love talking to traders and learning new things. And it's very important what you were mentioning, especially with witching next week. And obviously, we talk about it a lot of times in the context of Palantir who's going into the index and Dell as well. So that could be a trade at the end of the day. But there's a bigger perspective that you just brought up. We had Hey Davis in the chat, and his question was, when are you coming on next? So I'm not to put you on the spot, but I do want to let you know that we have a fantastic community here that certainly loves to hear from you. So before we get you out of here, I want to thank you so much, but remind everybody where they can already find you outside of the next time you come here.
Thanks so much. You can reach me at SpotGamma on Twitter. And if I could give a little plug, if you go to spotgamma.com /trace-the-market, trace-the-market, we're launching a new product tool. It maps out options flows in real time. We're also going to be, if you sign up or register for that event there, we're also going to be doing a bunch of OPEX talks next week. And so anyone that has questions on what flows look like on a single stock, please join us next week. We'll be talking about that a lot.
There you go. Brent Kuchuba, great having you on. I want to say I love the setup that you got going on in there. So that was already a win. Great knowledge that you're dropping for us. Have an awesome, awesome weekend, and we look forward to being able to talk to you again. Thank you so much for coming on, Brent.
Thank you. Happy to be back anytime.
Have a good one. Think we found another good one, everybody. It's 4:30. Oh, it is 4:30 already. I was like, oh, it's not 4:30. Whatever. We go as long as we want. The thing about it is, and I think we all understand this. Sometimes, no, don't hit the fail. Sometimes when you're in a position and you get to talk to somebody who knows more than you about a certain topic, or he's going to have a fresh perspective, you just want to sit back and listen. That's what we're here to be able to do. So I want to thank Brent for coming on. He knocked it out of the park. We'll look forward to having him on here again. But it is 4:30. You know what we got to do here. We got to give thanks to everybody in our community. We love you all. At Trader TV Live, whether you trade, regardless of what you trade, or whether you're brand new, you've been doing it for a long time, we have the best community out there, and it all works in the chat because of Bears versus Bulls. You are the best moderator in the business. We're doing everything you do. We don't thank you enough, maybe once or twice a day, and even then, that's not enough here. I want to give a big shout out to our whole team of Obi doing a fantastic job filling in for Sean, who was at a charity golf tournament. We sponsored a hole at a local charity tournament here for a local hospital. Ramin on the ones and twos. Andre's been listening and learning the whole way. We have a new member of the team. Can you just, do you have the cam? Can you throw to that right now? Okay. Oh, that's okay. Andre can kind of zoom in here. No, we have a new member of the team joining Fabian and Ramin. There's Andre. There he is. What up? Give yourself a wave. They're staying late, as I said. And then a special, awesome, important shout out. Debut on the midday today, knocking out of the park was Satea for the final hour, leading us into, and there was a hard act to follow. Want to shout out their first time on camera doing a full hour. Usually we let people do like 15 minutes. She crushed it. So the Trader TV Live team is just getting bigger and better. But now it's time for a little roll call, everybody. Let's get it started. We got Hey Davis. Thank you for your questions in the chat. Bears versus Bulls. Lames, TH, The Piper, Moy Cansado, Blue Arrow, Brian Thompson, Neo Rob, Bora Hout, Adrian, Milk Breeze, JD Warren on 20s. Oh, I love that name. Mark L, Finch Jane, Other Zinc, Piper again. Oh, we got JD, Aaron Scott Matthews. That always sounds like such a cool name. It gets so formal. Tommy Ellis, JKL 146. Thank you for your super chat earlier. TH, Jai Singh, Sebastian, Sinful, Davey, Trey Only. We got John Wick. Why not? We got John Wick twice in there. You want me to say it twice? Fine. Jander Alvarez, Palm Trees, Good Vibes. That is about as good as it gets right there. Bruno MC Oliveira, Stanley Game, Chad Lee, Carlos Briones. We got Trader T10, Jay Haas, KK. Stop for a second. KK. Want to make sure I say that right so we don't get any bad ideas there. Zion Lala, Barry, Bill Cook as well. We got Blasky. We got AK saying, yo to all of you out there. We got the best community. And I say this every single time we wrap it up. The best thing about Trader TV Live, the markets and trading, is we get to come back on Monday and do this all over again. So make sure you have a fantastic weekend. Chill with the friends and the family. Get recharged, because next week we got the Fed, we got a firm, we got options expiration, we got witching. It's going to be a big one. So we're Trader TV Live, and we'll see you Monday morning at 8:30. Bye, guys.